Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Uncuckables special US election 2020 apocalyptic result count. We're going to be streaming for however long until if we get a conclusive result. I'm Tim Wilms, editor-in-chief of the Unshackled, here in Melbourne, where it's raining today, but it's still quite warm, so you can probably hear the fan behind me. It's very tropical here at the moment, which is a factor in why we keep getting these days of zero cases. But apparently, if people go to the beach and outside and don't wear their mask, then there's going to be magically all these cases explode, even though we've only got 30 active cases at the moment. And we've got joining me at the beginning, Stephen Wells from the soon-to-be controlled free state of WA. You're opening your borders somewhat.
Yes, opening the borders with the conditions of the 2016 Health Act, where you must undergo medical procedures to come in. So, yeah. Held down, have your underpants removed, and all done with dignity.
Your Public Health Act 2016 is nothing on our Public Health and Wellbeing Act 2008.
Isn't it? How bad is yours? What does
no,
yours say
I'm saying that yours is the worst. That's what I meant.
Oh, yeah. Ours is probably the worst in the world. Ours literally says that you can be force vaccinated. And it uses the word vaccinated as not just force medicated or force tested, but you can be held down, have your underwear removed if necessary, and be forced to undergo a medical procedure, including vaccination. Not limited to vaccination, but including vaccination. And then it goes on to say that this must be done with dignity.
Yeah, with respect.
With respect and ensuring the dignity of the person undergoing the procedure.
Well, dignity is a matter of interpretation.
Oh, well, yeah. Apparently our constitution is as well, so there you go.
A constitutional rights, human rights? What wacko conspiracy theory is that?
Yeah, that's as far right as we go, Tim. That's ultimate Nazi racist propaganda. Nothing more.
All right, let's have a look at the state of the race at the moment. So we're doing our own electoral map at the moment. So just make sure that I've got everything, because I'm doing it manually myself here at the moment. So this is the current state of things at the moment. So Trump and the Republicans got 59 electoral votes, Biden and the Democrats 37 electoral votes. But as you can see there, it's mainly the safe deep south red states, and not much from the north has come in at the moment.
That's not New York, is it? The one on the right there for the blue, is that New York fallen already, or is that
oh, sorry, Vermont. Sorry, that's
Vermont.
Okay. Yeah, sorry, that has to be blue. So it's Democrats 40, Republicans 56.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, I mean, obviously California and New York are going to go Biden. So, which are the states that are the swing states? Which are the ones that counted the election last time, like Florida? Yeah, I've not been up to speed on which states are the important ones for swinging the result one way or the other.
Well, we'll have a look at Florida at the moment, because they've been counting their votes very quickly at the moment.
Yeah.
So this is on the Fox News website. So they've counted 82%. Trump is ahead by 33,000 votes. Biden was in front early. So they've counted all the early votes, and now they're counting in on the day votes. So Trump is ahead. He needs to win that state. He's been, that's one of the ones that Trump supporters they've considered in the bank. Same with Ohio as well.
Yeah, well, I mean, I would say he not only has to win Florida, he has to win it by a large margin to secure his other, for if it's a close run thing and he just wins it, I would say that doesn't look good for the other close states. It's there are states where you think that he would surge ahead and have a bigger margin than last time, and if he doesn't, then it doesn't bode well for the other places where there's been mass immigration happening.
Georgia,
since
Trump is ahead at the moment. Oh, there's some updating here at the moment. We can see there. So 83%. Trump is further ahead now. Trump is also ahead in Georgia, which the Democrats thought they could win. We expected it to be close, but Trump is ahead in those two key states at the moment. And the other, this is the Fox News results here. So Arizona, that hasn't closed yet. Iowa hasn't closed yet. No, there's Michigan, Minnesota, North Carolina. Well, Trump is, well, that's only just closed 1%, but Trump is ahead. That's another one that Joe Biden and the Democrats thought they could win. Nevada, that's considered a swing state. Democrats will win that, I think. Ohio, Joe Biden is ahead, but they count the early votes first, which favor the Democrats.
Yeah, because the
Pennsylvania ahead.
The early votes happened before the Hunter Biden laptop came public knowledge.
I mean, look, Joe Biden's ahead in Texas with 16% vote of the counted.
Yeah, that's. I really, there have been people who've been saying, "Oh, it's definitely going to be this, or it's definitely going to be that." I'm too much of a nervous Nelly to go calling on these sort of things. I just wonder how much voter fraud has gone on from the Democrats. I wonder how much immigration has affected the votes 4 years on, because I think there's in 4 years it would be probably close to an extra 7 million people in the US than there was in 2016. And the demographics do say that 2/3 of immigrants vote Democrat. So, yeah, we've been hearing for a while that sooner or later it won't matter what happens in politics. All that will matter is the demographics of the country. So we'll see if that affects it this time around. I hope not, but we'll see.
Well, we saw the Queensland election result in Australia on the weekend. Supposedly Australia's deep north. That was a convincing win for Anastasia Palaszczuk's Labor Party. Deb Frecklington, she's now stood down as leader. One Nation had a 6% swing against them. And the Katter Party, they maintained their 3 seats. The Greens picked up South Brisbane thanks to LNP preferences. But yes, it was pretty comprehensive result on election night. And well, the Labor Party, you would say, won because of their closed borders policy with New South Wales and Victoria, and One Nation lost because of their open borders policy with New South Wales and Victoria. Yeah,
that's probably true. Yeah, the sheep have been blinded, and yeah, both in New Zealand and in Queensland, it looks very, very depressing for anybody who enjoys truth and freedom.
We had announced today that Glasgow Jicklin is going to be opening the New South Wales Victoria border on November 23rd. And Melbourne is scheduled to be reunited with regional Victoria on November the 9th, so next Monday. But given, Dan Andrews a week and a half ago, what if on Sunday there's, I don't know, 2 new mystery cases? We'll be like, oh, we've got to just pause it like he did on October 25th.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, the whole strategy is laid out in Neil Ferguson's original planning of the of the pandemic, from the Imperial College of London, talking about the lockdowns, which sort of planned it out.
Sorry, you mean Professor Pantsdown?
Professor Pantsdown, yeah. He
now explain why he's Professor Pantsdown. Remind us.
He's Professor Pantsdown because after telling everybody about the importance of social distancing, he drove halfway across the country to shag his mistress during the middle of the lockdown. So yeah. So and then he kept his job after that, after going and getting caught with his pants down, and now he's back on the BBC, prophesizing doom once more as if nothing has happened. But yeah, I mean, his original document planned lockdowns not to be like a continuous lockdown, but for there to be, you know, a lockdown, a reprieve, a lockdown, a reprieve, a lockdown, a reprieve. So Melbourne might be coming into the reprieve again, but the plan goes out into the end of 2021, and basically it's, yeah, you recover from your lockdown, you go, oh, thank you for the freedom. Then the scare comes back in and they go, well, you've enjoyed your freedom. Thank you for doing it the first time round. We just needed to do it again, guys. And then rinse and repeat until there is a vaccine that they can mandate. By which point everyone will be so sick of the lockdowns, they'll go, yeah, of course, I'll take it if it gives me my ability to work back.
Open their arms up to the vaccine.
Pretty much, yeah. And of course, that will then come with legislation which Scott Morrison has been touting, and other senior ministers have been touting, that if you don't take the vaccine, then you won't be able to travel. It won't be mandatory. It's just that lots of things that you want to do, you won't be able to do because you're a risk to everybody. So
I know that they're now promoting the vaccine as free and voluntary, though Scott Morrison, when he initially said he wanted to make it as mandatory as possible, that's pretty much the truth.
Yeah, so I mean, they're already trialing in the UK vaccine passes, where you can't get on a plane unless you've got a pass saying that you are COVID free, or you've been tested and you are back negative. And so that will they've been quite open about saying that this is what will happen with travel generally. So you won't be able to leave Australia unless you've got a pass saying that you've been vaccinated. You won't be able to travel interstate without one, and then you won't be able to do. You already can't do certain jobs without having a flu vaccine, and that will probably, just like drug testing to get a job started off in places where you might be a risk to somebody's safety if you were stoned out of your brain. Morphed out until it was virtually every job that you couldn't get a job without getting a drug test. It'll do the same with vaccines. There's so many jobs that you can't do unless you are vaccinated, that it becomes very, very difficult to earn a living.
As we'll go back to the swing state results here. So I think it's important to keep our audience updated. So 85% in now. Trump is leading, well, nearly by 2 percentage points now. So Florida is looking good. That's must win. So is, well, Georgia's only had 13% counted, but Trump back in the lead. That's good. If we go further down, again, North Carolina, Trump, well, it's 1%, but he is very much in front at the moment. Ohio, Joe Biden is leading with 42% in, but again, that's the early votes. We saw with Florida that can close. Well, there's a bit of an update now. See if that affects anything. No, that didn't. Texas, as you can see, Joe Biden's lead is already receding there. He's on 51, Donald Trump 47. That's with 23% counted. And Pennsylvania, well, it's not going to be with 1%. Joe Biden 77, Donald Trump 21. Yeah, this is because of it's the first what is it, mail in and early vote.
Yeah, the mail-in fraudulent vote, where there'll be all of these extra ballots for the Democrats in the mail-in side of things. That's just a conspiracy theory on my part, of course, but there's been a few examples of fraud, being blatant fraud on the mail-in votes being captured already. I'm so untrustful, Tim. I'm sorry. I'm just a really untrustful person, and I don't trust the election to be fair.
Well, we just had our mail-in local government elections here in Victoria. The Electoral Commission is investigating some fraudulent mail ballots in the city of Moreland, which is one of the inner city councils. They announced the Lord mayoral results today. Sally Capp, who is quite a left progressive Lord Mayor of Melbourne, has easily won re-election. She is so COVID safe that she even does her interviews outside with a mask on. Not even Dan Andrews does an interview with a mask on inside.
Well, you see, I don't think that's evidence enough. I think when you really see evidence of mail-in fraud is when a local council election and Biden wins.
And Nicholas Rees, the Labor stooge on Sky News Australia, has just been elected Deputy Lord Mayor.
Oh, well, there we go. Yeah, I mean, the thing about local council elections is you don't actually have to vote, so most people don't. Only
you do in Melbourne.
Do you?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Sorry, in Victoria. Otherwise, you'll get a fine. Last thing you want in 2020 Victoria is
yet another fine.
Yes, because we had the big because there was another Freedom Day protest and Melbourne Cup Day yesterday outside Parliament House, and because it's in the middle of the city, police were easily able to encircle and entrap the group and took them all one by one to a processing station to give them all $1,652 fines for breaching the chief health officer's directions. That's what they all had. They didn't write down the specific offence that they did, because some were within 25 kilometres of their home and came alone, but they just stamped on it, breach of show directions, fine.
Yeah, well, everybody should contest those fines, obviously. Just for the basic fact that they haven't actually specified what you've done wrong, like breach of the directions. How specifically? What did I breach? So yeah, without a specific charge, how can you fine somebody? Yeah,
it's sort of become the new breach of the peace in Victoria, where if they didn't like your presence at some event, the police could just say breach of the peace, move on, otherwise you'll be arrested and detained.
Yeah, I mean, it's been going on in Victoria for a long time, hasn't it? I mean, you stand on the steps of somewhere with a flag. When there's another protest coming along, you're breaching the peace. We're going to fine you for your own. If you don't move on, we're going to fine you for your own safety. So yeah, I mean, they've got a long history of it. I mean, Victoria Police will have a long history of corruption anyway, so it's not like we're dealing with anything new here. It just seems to have gone into the levels of the absurd now.
And what is it? Of course, the mainstream media said that it was, the violence came from the protesters, because apparently one threw a coffee at police and one threw a plastic bottle, and so that justified the police moving in, entrapping, detaining, arresting, handcuffing all of the 400, 500 they could.
Yeah, and it wasn't as if the coffee was thrown or the plastic bottle was thrown after they'd already been encircled and held there for hours. No, obviously that was what prompted them to do it. They'd never planned to do it, the police. I mean, obviously they would never pre-plan encircling everybody and arresting everybody. That must have been a spontaneous reaction to the coffee being thrown or the plastic bottle being thrown.
We also have happening today CPAC Australia in Sydney. It's being live streamed on the CPAC Australia Facebook page. So once you've finished watching this, you can go and watch the CPAC Australia replay. Now, obviously, it's basically only really Sydney-siders and South Australians who can go there, because obviously the Queensland border is shut. I mean, Queenslanders can go into New South Wales, but they, on their return, have to quarantine for 14 days. That's why Daisy Cousins pulled out, and so did a few other Queensland speakers. Obviously, no Victorian speakers?
Yeah, CPAC was where I first got, into this sphere that I'm in now, because I met, they had it in Perth a couple of years back, and I met Steel Archer there, and from there I met you guys, and yeah, so it was a good event. A lot of good people turn up to those.
So what you're saying is that Christina Corneli is right, that CPAC Australia is a gateway to the alt-right.
Absolutely,
yeah. You caught extremism.
I caught extremism at CPAC, indeed, yeah.
Yeah, because that's how it works. Because apparently, George Christensen caught extremism by going on my show because I've previously interviewed Blair Cottrell.
Oh well, there's almost a swastika on your forehead, Tim. I mean, it's like Brad Pitt got you in a Tarantino movie and scored it on your head. It's there for all to see.
Now someone will Photoshop one on my head.
Yeah, turn you into a Hindu.
Hello to everyone who's joining us in the live chat. I know that so far it's very slow, the live audience, because they're not used to us streaming at midday on a Wednesday. And there's also a gazillion other streams going on at the moment. Yeah,
we're on a competitive space, mate. There's free market far right extremism happening here.
So let's have a look at now it's not just the presidential election, it's also the House of Representatives and the Senate, because Congress is obviously important for a president, because at the moment the Republicans control the Senate, but Democrats control the House of Representatives. Obviously, the prime, you would say, partisan examples of each house doing a partisan activity was the House of Representatives impeaching Trump, but the Senate finding him not guilty, and also the fact that the Republicans were able to rush confirm Amy Coney Barrett to the Supreme Court just before Election Day.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably just as important, if not more important, as what happens in terms of the American Congress and Senate as what happens with the presidency, because two-thirds of the power does not lie with the president. It lies with all of the swamp. So who gets in the swamp is probably more important.
Okay, let's have a look at the presidential map again. So this is how things stand at the moment. So Biden and Democrats, 91 electoral votes, Republicans and Trump 67. So pretty much won all of the Northeast coast. The Democrats, which should be expected. I mean, they're going to win New York, New Hampshire, and Trump has won the Deep South. But of course, we're all waiting on the swing states. We know that Trump is ahead in Florida and also in Georgia. The last, or you'd say the last swing state to be called will probably be Minnesota and Iowa, because obviously time zone wise, polls close on the East Coast first and West Coast last, but Democrats are going to win all the West Coast states, California, Oregon, Washington, Nevada, all safe Democrat states. I mean, well, they're pretty much got it's Antifa HQ over there, and what is it? Gavin Newsom, the California governor, is almost, if not more, crazy with lockdowns as Dan Andrews. What was it? They put out advice, a put your mask back on between bites.
Yes, yeah. It gets, yeah. I mean, I would say California is the most absurd in terms of stupid rules, followed by the UK. Have got some absolutely stupid rules going on. I mean, Or actually, I don't know. Probably I would actually probably go for the UK. Actually, probably has the most stupid rules, where where a supermarket has covered non-essential items in plastic that you can't buy, but you can't buy clothes, but you can buy certain types of food, and so COVID differentiates between shopping experiences. That's probably the most stupidest rule I've come across so far. But yeah, California comes a close second.
I just got this news alert from New Zealand's most far left news outlet, News Hub, or as me and Dewey call Fake News Hub. That's home to what we refer to as the Waleed Ali of New Zealand. Patrick Gower at the beginning of the year stalked Bernie Sanders in Vermont, hoping to get an interview with him when he was out for a morning walk.
Right.
Yeah, so they're saying that Biden's ahead by 6 points in Texas.
And is he? Or is that just a poll?
Well, it's true at the moment with 38% counted, but we know that's the early vote.
Well, yeah, I mean they'll latch on to anything without context and just say this is the fact, this is how it's going to be, and they'll project forward. That's what the left does. Yeah. We have a small bit of information, and not an incomplete bit of information, but we'll just project that information out, and say that's the way it's going to be. So yeah, nothing new there. Yeah, I mean, if Florida goes nicely to Trump, then I'll have a bit of hope.
Now, interesting, the Michigan results at the moment are going the other way. So Trump is way ahead in the lead with 3% in, 59%, and Biden is on 39%. But I wouldn't take that to the bank at this time. Of course, the governor of Michigan is the wicked witch of the Midwest, Gretchen Whitmer, who, well, she's the most pro lockdown governor on, you'd say, the east to Midwest, even when the Supreme Court says her decrees are unconstitutional.
Yeah, has that actually changed anything since that ruling came through, or is she still just continuing on doing what she was doing?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah. And of course, there was that the FBI foiled that plot to kidnap and put on trial Gretchen Whitmer. And of course, Dave Hiscox, who'll be joining us in round about an hour, wrote this hilarious summary of it. Have you seen this before?
Yeah, but we'll go through it again. It's the funniest.
Do you want to have a read of it? Can you read this?
Me?
Yeah.
I don't know if I can actually see.
Okay, never mind.
Let me put my glasses on. Naturally, she has decided to implement a state lockdown under the pretext of protecting citizens from coronavirus, despite being informed by the Michigan Supreme Court that this was illegal. She did this because she is an illogical woman who thinks illogically because she is a woman. She is also a witch and a traitor to the American people. Understandably, some American patriots took it upon themselves to restore the rule of law. Sadly, the KGB intervened. From the ABC, 13 people have been arrested in sweeping takedown of plots to kidnap the Michigan governor, attack the state Capitol building, and incite violence. The group aimed to kidnap Governor Gretchen Whitmer, a Democrat who has traded barbs with Republican President Donald Trump over her response to the coronavirus pandemic ahead of the November 3rd presidential election, according to a criminal complaint. At a news conference, Mrs. Whitmer accused Mr. Trump of encouraging extremist groups like the Sick and Depraved Men that targeted her, opting his failure to condemn white supremacists at a recent US presidential debate against Joe Biden as an example. The alleged scheme involved months of planning, training, and even rehearsals to snatch Mrs. Whitmer at her vacation home, according to an affidavit by FBI Special Agent Richard Trask, research released on Thursday. Special Agent Trask stated that the arrested men claim a wizard from the Emerald City asked them tasked them with the important mission, and they wanted to go back to Kansas. 6 men were charged in federal court, while 7 others accused of trying to target the police and the state capitol were charged in a state court. Quote, our efforts uncovered elaborate plans to endanger the lives of law enforcement officers, government officials, and the broader public, Michigan Attorney General Dana Nassel told a news conference. 7 of the accused were men associated with the Wolverine Watchman militia group. Gretchen can be seen in the picture below, clearly conducting some kind of weirdo voodoo witchcraft on the poor Aryan woman behind her, forcing her to make embarrassing hand signals and pull funny faces as she speaks. The Michigan Supreme Court said last week, a 1945 law used as the foundation for many of the governor's orders is unconstitutional. Through electronic communications, 2 of the alleged conspirators agreed to unite others in their cause and take violent action against multiple state governments that they believe are violating the US Constitution, the FBI said. The FBI quoted one of the accused as saying, Mrs. Whitmer, quote, has no checks and balances at all. She has uncontrolled power right now. All good things must come to an end, he said, according to the quote. The accused said he wanted to try Mrs. Whitmer for treason and would execute the plan before November 3rd election. The group talked about creating a society that followed the US Bill of Rights, where they could be self-sufficient, the FBI affidavit said. It said different ways of achieving this goal were discussed, from peaceful endeavors to violent actions, including murdering tyrants. The XYZ understands that the mission, had the mission been successful, the Patriots plan to punish Gretchen by throwing a bucket of water at her. The XYZ has obtained exclusive footage of the artist's impression of what that might look like.
Mm. And the meme up above, can you read that in Gretchen's voice?
I'll get you, silly protesters, and all your freedoms too.
She does look like a witch, doesn't she?
She definitely does look like the Wicked Witch of the West. She has the face for it.
Now, it's come to my attention that Fox News is being more proactive in calling states, while CNN is being more conservative. If we have a look at the updated Florida results, with 88% is counted now. Trump, he looks like he's going to win that. I mean, he's ahead by 250,000 votes.
How many votes are there of how many? So how many votes have been counted?
88% of the vote.
Yeah, but what's that in terms of? So it's about 10 million votes, and he's ahead by how many? 200,000.
Let's say 11 million votes. We should also remember that this is, there are third-party candidates, and Jo Jorgensen is the Libertarian Party candidate. Obviously, it's paying off for her in Florida with less than 1% of the vote.
Yeah, I mean, the Libertarians 4 years ago, they seemed to be gaining traction with I've forgotten the guy's name.
Gary Johnson, the governor.
Johnson, yeah. I mean, Johnson was a decent candidate, and in terms of people who liked a libertarian alternative, I was actually quite supportive of him myself back in the day. The world is too polarized now. It's you really are looking, even if you do still believe the libertarian dream, we really are in a state where the lesser of two evils has to be taken if you believe Trump is evil. But
here is a photo of Jo Jorgensen there. So she looks very strange. She looks cross-eyed. And
well, I mean, right there, the fact that all her supporters are wearing masks in this stage photograph, it's like, okay, no, gone. Sorry.
Yeah.
If you're gonna go for the fringe vote, you've got to get on board with the fringe people, and the fringe people don't wear masks. It's the people who aren't going to vote Trump or Biden are the ones who are like me saying, not that I would vote for a different candidate, but they're the ones who are calling COVID a hoax, and that Trump is still pushing vaccines, and Trump still wants to get the military to help distribute the vaccines. They're the kind of people who are going to vote for an alternative candidate. This is just cucking. This is just the worst kind of cuck from a supposedly alternative candidate.
And her running mate is Mr. Jeremy Spike Cohen, who is a mate of Vermin Supreme, who is the perennial candidate who wears a boot on his head and offers, what is it, free toothbrushes and ponies for every American.
Yeah, let's vote for him.
We've got Senator Slayer, who's joined us now. I'll bring him into there. Hello.
What's going on, man? What's going on, boys?
Hey, I see that you've got the AirPods in. Very professional.
Yeah, they're not Apple ones, but they're cheaper version. I'm not going to pay that much money. What's going on, Stephen? How are you, man?
Yeah, good, mate. Enjoying. Sorry.
How are we looking? Are we looking good? Are we looking good with Trump? I've been following it. I think it's at Florida, but I think he lost Virginia or some shit.
Oh, he was never going to win Virginia. That's a blue state now because of all the spillover from DC bureaucrats living there now.
Oh, yep.
He's looking good in Florida, so.
Yeah, but according
to you go.
Apparently, Florida's too close to call for CNN.
Of course. But we know now that the polling was up shit creek because I think they had him at 30% chance or 30% of the vote in Florida. When will they learn?
Who's the poll cruncher again? That Nate Silver from 538 with his poll averages and. Don't forget the pollsters.
I don't know who that is.
Oh, he's quite famous.
Not to me.
No.
Obviously not that famous.
I remember the polls were wrong in the Australian federal election 2019, where all the polls said that Labor was going to win, yet they were out by 3%. And obviously the coalition of Morrison won. But the polls up until this point have been pretty accurate in 2020 when it comes to Northern Territory, ACT, New Zealand and Queensland.
Thing is about the polls, they're just using them as a way to try and influence people into voting a certain way. It's go along with the crowd type thing. So they're deliberately skewing them towards the left and hoping that by making a prediction like that, just speaking it into existence will then make the sheep follow the trend. So they're trying to create their own trends. With polls, it's not about providing information anymore. It's about influencing people.
Yeah, and about deterring possible voters from turning out. If you think your candidate's going to lose in a landslide, you probably won't go.
You're dejected and you don't turn up. Yeah, so it's got nothing to do with information anymore. It's all to do with trying to manipulate people.
The media cucked media, slightly less cucked media, Sky News Australia, they've been reporting on the Trump wave the last few days because he's done so many rallies, and there's particularly in Florida, there's so many what do you call it? Trump boat rides and caravan convoys, but you shouldn't be fooled into thinking just because people turn up to a rally or in public that that's going to translate onto election day.
I mean, Trump certainly got the more active base. You know, he's got people who genuinely cheer for him, whereas the Democrats have just really got nothing more than "I hate Trump." But the "I hate Trump" sentiment is huge across America. You know, I've unfortunately many former friends this year who are determined to vote against Trump regardless of what gets turned up about the Democrat candidate. There are just a certain demographic of people in the US who will turn themselves off to all logic, reason, evidence, and just go with, Trump, orange man bad, racism bad, therefore I must vote against him. So, yeah, and they might not turn up to rallies anymore because they haven't got like an Obama type figure, but that sentiment never left them. That emotional crutch that they need was never taken away. It's still there.
Well, Obama's made a few appearances for old Joe on the campaign trail. He says Obama that picking Joe Biden to be his vice president was one of the best decisions that he ever made.
Yeah, which shows how corrupt he is.
Wait, he says that now?
Yeah, he says that now.
Every decision. Yeah, I think he said every decision was behind was wrong. Like he's like the slowest person in the Senate or whatever it was. Like I think like he failed like his class or had the lowest test scores. He's just been basically not one of the smartest politicians.
Biden.
Obviously, he's got to stick up for him now. Yeah. I wouldn't say he's the smartest dude. That's for sure.
Well, he survived in Washington, was elected 6 terms in the Senate, and obviously served 2 terms as vice president.
He apparently was a much shrewder operator before 1990, and then he's had some kind of stroke or seizure or something or other, some medical issue in the early 90s, and the obvious dimension that we're witnessing in him now is sort of seemed to be in a follow-on from that, and apparently his hard-nosed criminality hasn't been as sophisticated since then. But yeah, I mean, he's just a career criminal. Career criminal who used to be shrewd and then basically became sloppy.
It's funny how even in Australian politics, all these politicians, they become millionaires. Like you go work in a warehouse and like a warehouse, you could probably get paid the same as their salaries. And you think after 20 years, you're going to have like $1 million mansion. Like it's the whole system in America and Australia with making money off your position. It's insane. I can't believe how he has like 7 mansions.
Yeah.
But that's more than Bernie Sanders, the Democratic Socialist, has. Was it 3 houses?
Yeah, something like that. He's a millionaire. Yeah. But even Dan Andrews, isn't his net worth in the millions as well?
Yeah, I think he is. He has a few houses. I know he has one out near Phillip Island Way, a holiday home. But yeah, I think we all know where his actual house is. I think that's
well, he's been away for 4 days. He returned today to give the Corona update. It was another 0 day. Most people suspect he was up in Queensland visiting his family. That's
where they went apparently. So I heard someone drove past his house and seen an undercover federal police car there. So I think
his security detail has been massively beefed up. I've heard since he started all of these lockdowns. Yeah, which
his electorate office.
Well, yeah, like you would hope nothing happens. But
well, you're cutting up there, Senator Slayer.
Yeah, I know. I'm getting it's cutting up when you come through. I don't know how bad it sounds from your point of view.
Yeah, sounds annoying.
All right. Hey, I'll let you go. I'll go email Jared the link because he wants to get on to talk about yesterday.
Yeah, he's just in the waiting room now. Hey, here's the man of the day. Who,
yeah, I was waiting. Yeah, track him on.
Yeah.
What's going on, mate?
Or man of yesterday, you got arrested 3 times. Oh, he's frozen.
And now the power.
Yeah.
Yeah, did you hear us?
Nah, mate, sorry, the reception just cut out. Back in now. What was that?
So you're the man of yesterday. You got arrested 3 times.
I did, unfortunately. Yeah, it wasn't part of the plan, but yeah, I did get arrested 3 times. Jimmy here got arrested once, so yeah, there was a few in total. When they seen the arrest, I wonder if they counted me 3 times in that total, 16 for the day.
Yeah. Did they give you 3 fines?
They gave me 1, but apparently I have a few coming in the mail, so we shall see.
Yeah, because we were just describing it before. That they had the processing center there.
Yeah, they were well established. They knew what they were doing. It was craziness. Yeah, they operated as a unit and managed to box us in and take us out. So we'll live and learn, and we'll be back next time, and hopefully we'll give it a better go. They targeted the weak and the elderly. So at one stage when I was arrested, they tried to actually take out an autistic girl. The footage is there, so we jumped in front of her and we actually managed to hold the police off that time. And they retreated, and then they regathered themselves and they come back in. But there wasn't many of us that were at the front that were willing to sort of stand up. Props to Versace Cowboy. He was there. He was solid as they come, mate. He ran up and got our back and got arrested with us too. But yeah, there's a few people there on the day that don't respect him. Versace's one of them. So
bloody oath.
His arrest was captured on the News Corp footage and also on the Rebel News footage, where he actually you can see him when he's being handcuffed. He said his name was another person's name.
Yeah, I've seen that actually. Yeah, managed to slip through without too many people noticing, apparently. So what's the go for today, boys? Who's
Didn't he also say he was in charge of somebody else?
No, you're cutting out, Senator Slayer. Can't you?
I voted this morning for Trump. Yeah.
You voted this morning? Yours would probably counted.
Yeah, I sent my mine in by mail ballot.
All right, I'm gonna call Florida now for Trump with 89% in. He's ahead by 300,000 votes. So if I update the 270 to win map here, that puts Trump at 96 electoral votes and Democrats Biden 91. So he's ahead at the moment. Florida was must win, and he's won it.
Encouraging. Looks still very tight though, doesn't it?
Yes. But given the amount that he's ahead by, with only 11%.
The issue, of course, is California, which just has there's 90 odd electoral votes.
55. You're way off there.
But still a lot. It's still a big chunk, and that's that takes Biden to 140 just with California. So yeah, I think this is going to go down the wire. It could be very knife edgy. I think this is. I'm going to get nervous because this goes further on, I think.
You've seen all the businesses in the major cities boarding up, fearing.
Hey, Tim's going to try and change the data. If that doesn't work, I'll take off.
All right. We'll see if he can fix it.
Yeah, you're saying the businesses boarding up for the in anticipation of more peaceful protests.
Yes, and they've put on at the front of their businesses Black Lives Matter, hope that that'll basically deter rioters.
Yeah. They'll be like, oh, look, this person's giving us permission to loot and burn.
It didn't help the businesses in Minneapolis when they put, what is it, black-owned businesses or minority-owned. They still got looted.
Yeah, because they're just Uncle Tom's, obviously, participating in the white slavery system.
So we've got a few more states closing at the top of the hour. It's nearly 1 p.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Time. It's close to 10 a.m. where you are.
Yeah, nice and early for me. Yeah. So I got the full day to enjoy all of the election results coming in. Then I'm off to an election party tonight that I've been invited to. They're apparently they're going to get a call from, I don't know, they said Trump, but I don't know, some organization who are, you know. And they're back.
Sorry, mate, the reception dropped out. We're back. We won't have any more problems now.
All right, Senator Slayer's just dropped out because his was messing up.
Yeah, he hasn't got the best reception at the moment either. So, yeah.
I'm just going to YouTube chat on, and I'm just going to check Twitter at the moment to see what that echo chamber is saying.
No worries, Steve. How are you, mate?
Yeah, good, mate. Respect for your actions just the other day. It's 3 times. It's
thank you very
not been
much.
faced with that.
At least we...
Yeah, not been faced with that situation myself yet, but I'm sure it'll come down the track.
Yeah, well, at least we could do.
Yep, there's a lot of triggering over Trump winning Florida.
Is there? Yes. Yeah. As long as there's a few leftist tears throughout the day, I'll be a little bit happy.
Yeah. I saw that the alleged ABC 730 funny man, Mark Humphrey, saying, "Oh, why would you want Trump? Why would you want Trump to win only to see leftist tears? That's a pathetic reason for voting for him." No, that's just part of the reason why we want Trump to win.
That's the icing on the cake. Yeah.
Yes, basically because we want Trump to win because we want freedom and no more wars.
Well, I want Trump to win because I don't want a corrupt paedophile running the free world and selling everybody out to China and enslaving everybody and putting people in concentration camps.
Yeah, you know? Yeah. Don't forget he wants, a 2-month national mask mandate. He claims it'll save 100,000 lives.
Yeah, probably take 100,000 lives with bacterial infections and fungus and God knows what else.
Like wearing the mask, like during these periods, it feels like that if you breathe too much of the within the mask, that your just throat is going to catch fire and you're going to spontaneously combust. But apparently Dan says that masks still work. They have low cost but high return.
Yeah, well, Dan Andrews is just, lie upon lie upon lie. I mean, anybody who's had to work in, doing anything where you needed a mask because there was dust and stuff knows just how horrible it is by the end of the day, and how often you have to change the damn things. If you've ever done sanding or, paint stripping or anything like that, any of the real jobs out there, if you've ever done any of them, that wearing a mask, you do it in the most extreme circumstances, and it doesn't keep all of the dust out. So if a mask won't keep dust out, how the hell is it going to keep a virus out? Horrible things.
Jared, what were you saying before, that there'd be no more issues?
Mate, it's on your end. Hey, ASIO must be tapping into your show. Our reception's good.
No, you're a bigger target at the moment. I mean, what is it? You've been arrested 4 times this year. now, 3 yesterday, and then once for not having a border permit.
Mate, believe it or not, that's actually a pretty quiet year for me, so that's not too bad.
Did you hear Gladys announce that the border is going to be open by November 23rd?
Yeah, that's good news. Fantastic. About time. Yeah.
Until she changes her mind at the last minute.
Until there's a COVID breakout because of the protest yesterday, yeah.
Yeah, don't forget there's going to be another COVID outbreak because of St Kilda Beach and also Brighton Beach, Williamstown Town Beach, because people didn't wear their masks when they went into the water.
Yeah, it's definitely coming. There's a third wave.
Yeah, you meant to wear a mask in water.
Oh, as Dan would say, it's not too much to ask to basically risk drowning to wear a mask. Oh, they've gone again.
Yeah, we're probably a part of a targeted campaign, Tim. I think I'm okay here in Perth because at 10 o'clock in the morning on a Wednesday, there are a lot of people in this free state of Western Australia who aren't locked down are actually out back at working again. And so the NBN, Turnbull's NBN works a little bit better than it normally does at a non-peak time for me.
You call it Turnbull's NBN, not Rudd and Conroy's NBN.
Well, I mean, Labour came up with the idea, and then Turnbull decided to make sure it was as unfunctional as possible, because Turnbull's just another, leftist infiltrator into the Liberal Party. So, but yeah, I mean, we ended up with something that costed exactly the same and worked 10% as well. So, yeah. But I think that was the plan from. I think that was the plan from the start.
North Carolina is a cause for concern with 73% counted. Biden ahead, close to 52% to Trump, 47%.
Yeah, it looks like that's going down. Yeah.
If we look at where is Georgia at the moment, Trump's still ahead quite convincingly, but that's only with 33% counted.
Yeah, I think that'll probably go get a third of the vote in, and it's you've got that kind of margin. It's unlikely to swing back.
If he loses North Carolina, then he needs to win 2 of the 3 toss-up Rust Belt states, either Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin. Yeah, it's going to be tough. I mean, we've been hearing for the past 4 years about how demographics are changing things and how logical, reasonable arguments and what actually happens in the world really isn't going to matter anymore in America. Whether Trump wins this one or whether he doesn't, just the fact that mass immigration is continuing to occur in America and 2/3 of the people who come in are going to just vote Democrat no matter what. It's a matter of time, unfortunately. And, maybe this will wake people up. They see all these Trump rallies and all this huge support for him, and then they'll watch the election result and see that, he lost or nearly lost or only just won. And, don't know what it's going to take to wake people up to what's going on. But
so I don't understand the process with the election, but at the moment you're saying it's not looking good for Trump?
It's looking tighter. It's not like the big landslide everyone's thinking.
Well, it was wishful thinking that it was going to be a Trump slide, but as long as he wins, even if it's by 2 electoral votes, then he still won.
Well, I suppose that's the main concern at the moment, isn't it?
It's the main concern, but it should also be the wake up call. It should be the wake up call. If you've seen everything that Joe Biden has done, and everything
that's the thing.
Happened,
what's just come out at the moment as well, it's absolutely crazy that anybody's voting for him.
Yeah, it's amazing he wasn't, disqualified from running already. A scandal, a tenth as bad as this one 50 years ago, and he would have been forced to resign. There would have been impeachment. There would have been all kinds of shit going on. it would have been the biggest scandal of the century. But now it's just par for the course, and everyone just goes, shrugs their shoulders and moves on.
Next polls are going to close in 17 seconds.
What for the country or for the
next round for the states, states westward, because we've got a lot of the East Coast results here. Dropped out again. So let's have another look at the state of the race. So there's now 90% counted in Florida. Trump is, well, he is 350,000 votes ahead. So it's correct to call Florida now.
Yeah, because there'll only be 1 million votes left to count then, roughly. There's 11 million, and there's no way.
No change in Georgia. In Michigan, with 14% counted, Trump is ahead, but don't take that to the bank. North Carolina, still looking promising for Joe Biden there. That's with 75% counted.
Yeah,
Ohio, 56%. Biden is ahead at the moment, 53.5 to Trump's 45. And Pennsylvania with 9% counted, or Biden way ahead. Texas at 56% counted. Biden is only just ahead by 1.3%, but I expect that to flip, Trump to pull into the lead.
Yeah, it's looking at this, I'm quite concerned.
It's going to be a nail biter, but Florida that's the first must win that he has won, the big win for the night. Florida should secede, I think, because that's the only, I think, state which doesn't have any restrictions, because Ron DeSantis in the end said, screw this, we're just reopening, has 99% recovery rate, the virus, and he banned local governments from imposing mask mandates.
Yeah, what a hero. And there's the footage of him actually getting advice from somebody, from a proper health expert rather than a government bureaucrat. And so hats off to that guy.
So they've just called Colorado for Biden, which is to be expected. Colorado is now a deep blue state.
I was surprised that Colorado is a deep blue state, to be honest with you. I thought up in the mountains that would the cold would scare off all the global warming believers.
And remember, we've got the two states, Nebraska and Maine, which apportion some of their electoral votes to congressional districts.
I don't even know what that means, Tim.
Well, it means that it's not winner takes all.
Oh, okay. So if it's split, then they split the electoral votes between the proportionality, or
yes. So there's the two, because the 538, it's based on the 435 congressional districts, and the 100 Senate seats, and then District of Columbia gets 3 votes.
Right.
So in Nebraska and Maine, they have, they're 2 senators, which is winner takes all, and then they're 2 congressional districts, which they apportion each. We've got, no, sorry, we haven't got somebody else joining us at the moment. Everyone seems to be dropping out at the moment, though. You're holding up well.
Yeah, as I said, I'm in the free state of Western Australia, and everyone is at work, so no one's on the internet but me.
Yep, that's not bad. Now I'm just updating my map at the moment, because a few more states have been called. Here we go here. So this is my electoral map. So with more of the West Coast states being called, particularly New York, and also the mountain state Colorado being called, Biden is ahead, 129 electoral votes, Trump on 115. Though we're the only ones to call Florida at the moment.
Do we have a graphic of the 2016 election and how those states fell to compare against?
I can bring that up. Though I'll do a separate map for that one. Hi, PissyLeaks Pete.
How's it going, Tim? How's it going, fellas? Can you hear me now?
Yeah,
yes.
Yeah, we can.
Fantastic. I just heard Florida was very close to call.
Who said that?
Oh, just looking at the Fox News. But last time I checked in, actually, so might have been a while ago.
Yeah, we're calling it for Trump.
Good man.
So Florida is still a good escape route where you can escape all coronavirus restrictions.
Oh, absolutely, about that. And when are you going to hear about? Was it Michigan? Michigan, that's probably down on track, I assume.
Well, we have got some results from Michigan at the moment. Trump is ahead, but only with 15% of the vote counted. So 57% to Biden, 41%.
That's quite encouraging. Even with 15% counted, that's quite encouraging. So yeah, that map, the 2016, then we'll be able to sort of go, oh yeah, okay. What's changed? What's not changed? What do we need to look out for?
And Colorado, they've just voted out the Republican senator there, Cory Gardner, and so it'll go to Democrat John Hickenlooper. Will be the Democrat senator for Colorado.
That's not good.
Yeah, the most famous conservative from Colorado is Michelle Malkin. Don't forget that's where a local Channel 9 news crew, their security guard, shot a Trump supporter dead in Denver.
Was that a Channel 9 news crew person?
No, Channel 9 Denver, not Channel 9 Australia.
Channel 9, okay, I was going to say, yeah. But it was someone from the news crew who actually shot him.
Their security that they hired for the day.
Jesus, yeah, that's terrible. And yet they're still voting in Democrats.
Yeah, it looks like it's going to be a permanent blue state now, like Virginia.
Yeah, the US is falling slowly but surely. If not now, then in 4 years' time.
So I've got some more updates from Texas. The gap is continuing to close against Joe Biden's lead. That's with 57% counted. Though with Ohio 59% counted, Biden is leading by 200,000 votes. And North Carolina with 78% counted, Biden is ahead by about 150,000 votes, 51% to 48%. So that is really concerning.
Yeah, looks like North Carolina is going down.
What is it with North Carolina? Why is it? Georgia doesn't look like it's going to turn blue.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, who's moved into North Carolina in the last 4 years? That'll be the question.
They're probably the Virginians move further down there.
I think with Texas, Trump should get through, but this is probably going to be the last time he might be able to defy the the demographic change, like going from California to Texas.
Yeah. I mean, it's happening. It's the demographic takeover is occurring. There's I think this election is going to show that more than anything, even whether Biden wins or loses. White America is going to wake up to the fact that they're being replaced.
I think this is a thing that's unique to the United States, the strict demographic shift with voting shift, because in Australia, and the UK, obviously we're becoming more diverse, to use the PC term, but centre-right parties are still very much capable of winning. But as we've seen with the UK Conservatives, that hasn't stopped them going down the total lockdown route when it comes to the coronavirus. And of course, they haven't made the UK more free when it comes to free speech.
Yeah, well, I mean, the conservative type parties around the Western world have been infiltrated by globalists for years, and Boris Johnson has just shown his true colours. He was a Manchurian candidate all along. Of course, we've known it here in Australia with the Liberal Party and Malcolm Turnbull and now Scott Morrison, that they are just, controlled opposition in terms of the globalist plan. And installed there to pretend to fight Labour whilst, behind everyone's backs, just doing the same stuff. So, yeah, I mean, my home country of the UK, I weep for it because, yeah, Boris Johnson has just shown himself to be a complete and utter traitor, and just part of the globalist ruling elite, and. Yeah, he needs to be sent to jail for the rest of his life, as far as I'm concerned, at a minimum.
Still a lot to play out. We'll be joined shortly by David Hiscox of XYZ and Richard Wolstencroft from the report from Tiger Mountain, and we'll have other people joining us, Uncuckables contributors, throughout the afternoon, Australian time. I'm getting a lot of people offering their own analysis.
Let's hear some of it.
So Philip E. Armstrong, contributor at the Unshackled, says Trump looks done. I think that's way too early to conclude that.
Now, this result could pan out to be like the was the Romney and Obama election result. Like you had 08 with Obama winning high, and then possibly, but if not, we're very heatedly contested. With Ohio possibly falling to Biden, possibly.
It looks like it's going to be quite a sort of as things stand, a sort of mismatch result where they're not being consistent. Like North Carolina flipping blue, but not Georgia. And if you can still win, say, Michigan, then that's quite a strange result. Like it's definitely a state by state vote rather than a national swing.
I suppose also because this year has seen such extremes in policy in Democrat controlled states in regarding the COVID and Black Lives Matter thing, that people are looking at what happened to themselves as opposed to what's happening nationally. So, I mean, Michigan was one of the worst affected states for violence and stuff during the old BLM campaign, as far as I remember. So maybe that's affecting them. Whereas North Carolina, I think, didn't have any of those issues.
Now with so I was just going to quickly mention with the if Joe Biden wins this, if wins this by unexpectedly, this will be the defiance of a incumbent going against in terms of how they handle themselves during a so-called pandemic or plandemic. I mean, you've seen Jacinda Ardern in New Zealand, and also you've seen Palachuk in Queensland. Now, I'm thinking most likely it's going to go with Trump for sure.
There's a good tweet from Titana McGrath, who's retweeted Ida Bay Wells, who says, "One day after this election is over, I'm going to write a piece about how Latino is a contrived ethnic category that artificially lumps white Cubans with black Puerto Ricans and indigenous Guatemalans, that helps explain why Latinos support Trump at the second highest rate." And Titiana McGrath said Latinos are cancelled.
So interesting. Yeah, I mean, because Latinos aren't one race. It's just various ethnic groups who've come up from different parts of Central and South America.
So does that mean that Proud Boys chair Enrique Tarrio, because he's a Cuban, is now classified as white?
Doesn't he look so white? He looks so white.
Could be more Iranian white.
Yes,
because apparently it was the Iranians who were sending those. What would you say? We'd call them catfishing emails to random accounts saying, "We know that you're a registered Democrat. You better vote for Trump, or else."
It could be the Grand Mufti of the Proud Boys.
Well, he did change his. Well, he's on. The Proud Boys have a big presence on Parler now. He changed his Parler name to Ayatollah Tarrio.
There you go.
But yes, it's good that Florida's gone red, but everywhere else is still a toss-up. Nobody's talking yet about the how many votes are yet to be counted with the mail-in ones. Whether they've all been counted yet.
Didn't you say they get counted first?
It depends on the state and if all the mail-in ones have got in.
Oh, right. Okay.
You mean the rigged mail-in votes? Ones have been squashed around.
We were talking about before, Pete, about how the Victorian Electoral Commission is investigating fake mail-in ballots in the city of Moreland, one of the inner city councils.
Righty then, righty. That's why you got to be careful where you vote from the local election, as your local council as well.
Yeah, well, we were saying before that Sally Capp has been re-elected as mayor, who wears a mask when she's giving TV interviews outside.
You mean Sally Claptrap?
And Nicholas Rees, Mr. What is it?
Labour stooge.
Yeah, Labour stooge. And what does he drinks that? What is that? Steel straw.
Oh my God, remember that one? Last year's classic.
Fox News has projected that the Democrats will keep control of the House of Representatives. So Speaker Nancy Pelosi will get another 2 years in the chair if she lives that long.
Yeah, and if more pictures of her son having dubious photos with children don't pop up.
And of course, Nancy Pelosi, to compensate for her maskless hair salon visit, has now been giving press conferences with the mask on.
Yeah. Just shove all that down the memory hole, Tim. That's what we do. We're living in Orwellian times now. It's that didn't happen. That's just a lie. That's just a conspiracy theory, Tim, that she went to a hair salon without a mask on.
She said it was a setup.
Yeah. It was a deliberate setup. She was.
So they got her to take her mask off.
Yes, and she was deliberately set up. She was obviously eating at the time, which they've edited out.
So if Trump's re-elected, he'll still have to deal with negative Nancy Pelosi as the speaker.
Yes, the Skeletor.
Skeletor,
yeah. The Senate will be more interesting. Of course, if the Democrats and Biden win the presidency, then there's the question of will they pack the court? Because with Amy Coney Barrett confirmed, it's 6-3 to the Conservatives, so they'd have to appoint 4 more justices, expand the court to 13 to give the Liberals a majority again. Though why would you need 13 justices on the Supreme Court?
Because anything, whatever it takes to get what they want.
Because it's not actually, yeah.
Well, as the question of will they do it, it's like that song from the comedy show, Not the 9 O'Clock News. Is the Pope Catholic? Is Luxembourg small? Do bears sha-la-la-la in the woods? It's a done deal that they'll pack the court.
91% counted in Florida now. Yep, Trump is going to win Florida. Very slow count in Georgia. Trump's still ahead easily with 40% counted. Michigan, 17%, very slow. Trump's still quite ahead. Donald Trump winning in Minnesota at the moment, 60%, but that's with less than 1%. North Carolina, is not looking good there, with 80% counted. Biden ahead by 100,000 votes, 50.5% to 48.5%.
Closed a little bit in Trump's favor, though, hasn't it? I think from the last time we looked.
Ohio, 62% counted. Biden still ahead, 51 to 47.5%. There's a gap of about 130,000 votes. Pennsylvania, only 11% counted. Biden ahead, 63% to 35%. Texas, 61% counted. Biden still winning by a percentage point. They're less than 100,000 votes. And Wisconsin, Trump is just ahead at the moment, but that's with less than 3% counted.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, Trump needs to pull out the stops. The votes need to. One can only hope, like you were saying, Tim, about the early votes or early ballots are counted first. The posting ballots. If that's the case, then there's a hope. Otherwise, yeah, not looking good.
Yeah, he can afford to lose either Ohio or Pennsylvania, even if he is losing North Carolina, but he can't afford to lose both.
By the looks of things, I think he needs to win everything from now on. And I don't think he can afford to drop a single one at the moment.
But yeah, it's because the only experience the US has with a down-to-the-wire election is the 2000 George W. Bush, Al Gore election, where the Supreme Court stopped the recount and George W. Bush won the state by about 500 votes, which delivered him 271 electoral votes to Al Gore's 267 electoral votes, and the Supreme Court didn't rule on that until December the 13th, which I
do recall that Jeb Bush was running from Florida at that time as well in 2000. Very coincidental.
Yeah, Jeb Bush was the governor of Florida at the time. He was governor from 99 to 2007.
The difference, of course, is it really made no difference who got elected between Bush and Gore. There was, we would have still had 9/11. We'd have still had all of the Patriot Act. We'd have still had the invasions of Iraq and Afghanistan, and we would have still had all of the push to enslave America and remove all freedoms from the US. It probably happened faster under Gore because we'd have had all of the global warming bullshit to deal with as well. But
this I'll bring up was the 2016 map where Trump won 306 electoral votes. Hillary won 232, though the actual electoral college vote, there were a lot of faithless electors, so it didn't work out that way in the end. But yeah, Trump won all of the Rust Belt states, Pennsylvania, Ohio, Michigan, and Wisconsin, of course, won Florida and won North Carolina, but lost Virginia and Colorado. That was the beginning of them being permanent blue states. But of course,
has he lost any of the ones that are red on here now? Has he lost any of them yet?
It's looking very bad for North Carolina at the moment.
So he won North Carolina previously, and he's looking like he's going to lose it. Yeah, because it's not like he won 2016 by much. You know, it's
Obama won North Carolina in 2008. This is the 2012 Romney map here. So back in 2012, Obama won Florida, Pennsylvania, Ohio, Michigan, and Wisconsin, and also Iowa as well.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I don't have a good feeling.
This is, I'll bring up what CNN has called at the moment, which is not much. They've called 80 for Biden, 51 for Trump. So they haven't called Florida. They haven't even called Virginia yet.
Okay. Yeah, we'll see. CNN will only call things where they think Biden is definitely through.
Yeah, and back in 2016, I couldn't believe it took them, both CNN and Fox, so long to call Michigan and Pennsylvania when it was clear that Trump had won them. And I was like, just call it, because like we've already called Florida here.
Yeah, well, it just goes to show you that the media will do whatever. Is voting finished now in California and all of the western states?
No.
Yeah, see, that's why, they're gonna, anything that might make it look as if Trump has a chance somewhere, they're gonna hold off on it because there's voting still happening in the West. It's the media are just so activist. I mean, obviously we're activists as well, but we don't claim to be anything otherwise. We don't claim to be impartial.
It's tightened in Ohio now. It's now a roughly 2% difference, and Biden's less than 100,000 votes ahead. It's still way too early in Pennsylvania. 63% in Texas. Trump is slowly getting there. Remember in the 2018 Texas Senate race, the Democrats threw everything behind Beto O'Rourke, and only just lost to Ted Cruz in that Senate race.
Yeah, they really went after Ted Cruz hard, didn't they?
That's their ultimate dream, the Democrats, to flip Texas blue. It has been blue in the past, like 50 years ago, but that's when the Democrats were more conservative in the South.
That's when you had the KKK still there as well.
I don't think they were there in
about 50 years. Probably a lot less, yeah, because I think.
Yeah, we lost Stephen for a moment.
Lost him.
But yes, now it's getting nail biting at the moment. But with the Democrats winning the House, that's pretty crappy.
Oh, jeez. I mean, look, I assume they should just hold on in the Senate, so you currently it'd be more of a stalemate for 2 years, but it depends on the midterms in 22 as well.
Yes, which the incumbent always does badly in the midterms. I mean, in 2016, the Republicans had the House and the Senate.
Yeah.
They only had the Senate 51 to 49. And so that's why they couldn't repeal Obamacare, because there was always a couple of Republicans voting against the repeal of Obamacare, including the late John McCain, who, when he walked into the Senate, gave the thumbs down and everyone gasped. Because Americans are still stuck with Obamacare. That's another broken promise of Trump's, that he would repeal and replace Obamacare. He didn't. And the wall's not really there.
I think it's been partially built in certain areas at the moment. That's the last time I heard.
Sorry?
It's actually, well, I think some of it's already been built already, but not entirely. In the last, was it 4 years? The wall.
Well, Hillary's not in jail. That's the main promise.
That was broken as well.
And Mexico didn't pay for the wall either.
John Ruddock, who's the New South Wales Liberal Party dissident, he's still pretty confident that Trump has won.
Yeah, it's a big call to say at this stage. He
tweeted 3 seconds. He just tweeted, "I'm calling it. Donald Trump has won a second term."
Yeah, a bit premature. I'm still biting my nails.
He has a lot of support, Biden, in the New South Wales Liberal Party. Matt Keane, the energy minister, supports Biden, and former New South Wales Premier Mike Baird, the previous king of banning things, is also supporting Biden.
Yeah. Globalist infiltrators into the Liberal Party, what can I say?
Yeah. Christopher Pyne is also supporting the Biden campaign.
Oh, well, you know.
I got the mincing poodle plane.
Yeah, I just hope that he likes the right tweets tonight, doesn't accidentally like the wrong tweet tonight. Christopher Pyne.
Yeah, Pyne is the one who has that very peculiar pronunciation of the word grub.
Oh, yes, it sounded like something else.
Sounded like something else, the word grub. His former defense minister is now a defense, consultant. Another one of those politicians who immediately quitting politics has gone into lucrative lobbying role. Yeah, well, that's the whole, that's the swamp, isn't it? That's the essence of it. And it's why it doesn't really matter whether you screw up a state or a country in your time as elected official, because you're just following a role. You're doing what you're told from higher powers, and then you get rewarded at the end of it with where the real money and the real power happens, which is behind the scenes. So all of these politicians, they don't go into it to be elected politicians. They go into it to for what comes after.
Trump is now ahead in Texas.
Yay!
So that's like a huge sigh of relief with 64% of the vote counted. He's now ahead by 14,000 votes. Obviously, the margin has kept growing for Trump as the count has proceeded. So that's a sort of, phew, we knew there'd be a scare there.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a bit of it's because it appears that like you were saying at the beginning, it's all down to the early votes, the mail-in voters, which give Biden the boost at the start, and then Trump will be narrowing the margin as things go forward, and you get the sort of the true voter turnout distribution. The more you go on. But yeah, it depends on how much those mail-in votes, how much of a lead they give Biden to start off with, I suppose.
Well, that's certainly the case if we have a look at some of the other states where the swing states where the count is quite low. Pennsylvania, 14% counted, Joe Biden ahead 57 to 41%. If it's that narrow with 14%, that's good signs for Trump. Ohio, 67% counted. That is really concerning, though it is tightening up there. 55,000 votes, the difference. North Carolina, 83% counted. I think he's going to lose that, Trump.
Yeah, what's it at now? 50, North Carolina, 50 to 48.
Yeah, it's 83% voted. Biden is ahead by 70,000 votes.
Well, still, it could, mathematically speaking, if it's tightened the way. What was it? I suppose you don't have the information anymore about what it was back when only 20% of the vote was counted. What the margin was then. That'll probably give us a better figure. If we know what it started at as to where it is now, then we can sort of work out what it'll roughly be. But I'll keep my fingers crossed for North Carolina. We'll see.
Don't forget, in Minnesota, that's when Ilhan Omar, the member of the squad from that state, was doing the ballot harvesting, collecting all those mail-in votes. And if you heard the meme about the riots in Minnesota, where AOC says to Ilhan Omar, I love what you've done with the place, and she says, thanks, I wanted to make it look more like home, aka Somalia.
Yeah.
Because, yes, that was ground zero for the initial riots, Minneapolis, a Democrat-run city and state.
Yeah, where pallets of bricks mysteriously started appearing everywhere.
And also, 2 days ago, Washington D.C. they bolted down the place. Every small business bolted by wood. Thinking, Trump win.
Yeah,
well, there's been that leaked Zoom conference thing with where they're basically talking about having a coup and various help from for people who work in the government and stuff. That's just come out as well, basically showing that that they are already organizing for a violent overthrow. Talking about surrounding the White House and all kinds of stuff going on. So, if Trump wins, the fun only just starts. So we'll look forward to many days of more burning and rioting and looting to come.
Sounds like the Purge 2.0.
I remember the 2016 post-election protest. That was very mild by 2020 standards. They just went around US cities and said, "Not my president." They're not going to just chant that now. There'll be a lot more destruction.
Yes, it will be overthrow the president now, is what they will say.
I remember there was that lady after Boris Johnson won that landslide 2019, a UK general election victory. She was like, "Not my prime minister, not my prime minister, racist, fascist, not my prime minister."
How do you differentiate her from all the rest?
Yes, and I think they also tried to start earlier this year in the UK, the 8 minutes of hate against Boris Johnson, the Boo Boris on Tuesday night. We'd stand outside your home and go, "Boo Boris."
Well, I might actually join that one. I would boo Boris at the moment as well, but for different reasons.
Apparently, Nigel Farage has opened a new party, Reform UK.
He should call it because it's an anti-lockdown party, you should call it the Unlock Party. Because Reform is like a wishy-washy name. Like, just Brexit Party was obviously straightforward. It was Brexit.
Well, maybe he should plagiarize you a bit, Tim, and call it the Unlockables.
the Unlocking Party.
Yes.
Well, there's never been so much unshackling to be done in this year, 2020. The governments around the world have tried to put the shackles on the people so much.
Yeah, they've succeeded as well, haven't they?
We'll be joined by, I've just been told, Richard Wolstencroft at 2 o'clock now. I'm just getting some further updates about North Carolina. It is significantly tighter now. With 85% of the vote counted, Biden is only ahead by 30,000 votes.
Ooh, wow. Now that will be a turn up for the books. Because weren't we looking at 2-3% earlier?
Yeah, it was looking very bad, but
so getting hope again.
Minnesota, Biden is ahead on the early votes, thanks to, you'd say, Ilhan Omar's vote harvesting. But in Michigan, in the 20%, Trump is still got a commanding lead. Georgia, with nearly half the vote count of 47%, Trump still has a convincing lead. And Florida, well, there's been no more votes counted, but looks pretty good. What's that? I'm not sure if it's actually been verified, but apparently Hillary Clinton telling Joe Biden, don't concede on election night.
Yeah, well, the whole thing behind it, isn't it? Don't concede at all. That's what you're hearing all across the Democratic platform, isn't it?
Because she didn't make a speech on election night, Hillary Clinton, when she lost. She made a statement the next day. Apparently, the rumor is she was having a meltdown and throwing things around the room at campaign chair John Podesta.
Yeah, probably murdering a baby or two while she was at it, and sucking off some blood to try and console herself. Injecting a bit of adrenochrome.
Another good meme from 2016 was Hillary pondering her loss. If only I'd killed more people.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And there was another meme where Hillary's at a graveyard, and the meme caption says, "I'm not sure if she's saying goodbye to victims or saying hello to her voters."
Probably both.
Oh, and Trump is ahead in Ohio now.
Yay!
70%, leading by 24,000 votes. So that's good.
I apologize for my earlier pessimism.
I should check when I'm checking stuff. You two have got to talk amongst yourselves, because I'm going to check the Twitter reaction.
I don't know how to talk without you around, Tim. It's like, when you're not saying things, I don't know what to say.
Well, that's right. Same here, mate. Same here. That's all right, mate. That's all right.
It's like you are the party, Tim. You know, without you, it just isn't. It's just not the Uncockables. It's just two guys just looking stupid. You know?
I haven't got a running sheet for today because, given how it was so unpredictable, there is no script, and so
it just shows you
what's going on, mate. Nah.
Just shows you're a true professional, Tim. It's like you just on it. You know, you got the mind. You're on top of all the issues, and we're just here to reflect back to you, really.
Now, a reminder, if you want to participate with us throughout the show, join on the Entropy link, so you can ask us a question or send through a super chat, because we're eager to hear the audience is slowly trickling in. I think everyone's doing an election night live stream.
Yeah, there's nobody watching because everyone's doing their own.
Yeah, that could be the case.
Yeah.
What, they're doing it on podcast? But that was frowned upon by the ABC.
Although there's some podcasts that are truly awful.
Are there? I wouldn't know. I never watched the awful ones.
Listen to podcasts. So the betting markets apparently have solidified behind Trump, but that's just the.
Well, the bookies tend to get things right more often than pollsters because they actually care about losing money.
Apparently, a couple of days ago, it was about 275 for Trump. So how much is it now?
Sorry?
Apparently, a couple of days ago, it was 275 for Trump.
Electoral votes? Oh,
no, in terms of the sporting odds.
They've just called another state for Trump. They've called Kansas.
It's because we did that Wicked Witch of the West readout earlier. It's helped swing it. Going back to Kansas.
Yeah, because we threw water on Gretchen Whitmer.
Yeah.
Pete, you're a Victorian such as myself. Unfortunately, we had Dan back today where he scolded the people who were out living life and protesting for freedom for not socially distancing or wearing masks.
Oh, and yet the cops don't want to social distance either. Jeez, but apparently they're doing their job. That's what I hear.
Yeah, just following orders.
Yep. That's right.
There's definitely some cops who relish following Dan's orders more than others.
The ones with the red on them, not the ordinary police who were just there to block the group of protesters. The public response team, is that the one?
Yeah, we've had there was that recent come out. 70 New South Wales police have gotten together and basically said that they want they're not wanting to follow the lockdown stuff anymore, and they're very worried about mandatory vaccines and blah 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 blah. Have you had that one, come across that one too?
Yes, I did see that, but that doesn't help us in Victoria because
Victorian police aren't New South Wales police.
Yes, exactly.
But at least there's the first signs of dissent within the police force itself, which, you know, if ever we are going to overcome totalitarianism, you tend to need the organized forces to rebel, not just the populace. See, it's okay to have a Black Lives Matter protest because the police will take the knee. And
So some updates. Trump is now in a much more comfortable lead in Ohio with 71% counted. He's now leading. Well, he's got 50% of the vote, leading by 57,000 votes, and Pennsylvania is tightening up quite a bit with only 17% counted, and Trump, yes, way ahead now in Texas with over 50%, now leading by well over 100,000 votes.
Yeah, well, that's my pessimism is starting to dissipate. It's I was very, very glum at the start of the show, Tim, and this is giving me hope. This is giving me a lot of hope.
It might be for remember the I'll bring it up on the screen. The I don't think it was that this clip didn't actually have anything to do with the election itself, but it personified the left's meltdown.
It has to be a joke. I do not believe this is happening. I'm literally about to fucking kill myself, and I'm not kidding. You better fucking fix this shit right now. I literally am gonna die. I need an ambulance. I can't believe.
I assume she's still alive. Barely.
See, what you need to do there, Tim, is just after that you need to bring up the Sean Connery clip, because Sean Connery just passed away, of him talking about how some women just need to be slapped to shut them up. You know, just give a bit of respect to the guy who passed away, and just bring up that bit and show it together with that, and just.
Though he did support the Scottish National Party, Sean Connery.
I know, but he's an actor.
Nicola Sturgeon, Dan on Heels, had some nice things to say about Sean Connery when he died.
Yeah, what did she say? He slapped women.
That he was there when the Scottish Parliament was reopened. He supported Scottish independence.
Oh yes, yeah.
Because remember, the left.
The difference with Sean Connery is he wanted actual Scottish independence. He didn't want Scotland, I don't think, to go from being under the British Parliament's thumb to be under the European Parliament's thumb, which is what Sturgeon wants. She doesn't want independence. She just wants to be under a different master.
Or alternatively, you can go under the Households Directive and give them a fonging, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, so it was the second episode of Households on Monday night. I posted on my Telegram some clips from the first episode with the Premier introducing the lockdown lockdown measures. I might play it now just to give ourselves a bit of a break. And I wonder who they modelled the premiere in Housos on. It has an uncanny resemblance to a certain premier who introduces the lockdowns.
Maybe fairly obvious.
Yes. Played by Brendan Jones from Jonesy and Amanda on WSFM in Sydney. So we're getting still nothing more from Florida, which I hope that doesn't mean that the rest of the 9% is those dreaded mail-in votes. Imagine if Trump has a clear electoral college win tonight, he claims victory, yet Biden is not going to concede until the mail-in votes.
Yeah, I wouldn't put it past him.
All right, here's the clip from the first episode of Housos with the lockdown premiere.
Due to the flagrant disregard of some of these Sunnyvale housos, I have put into place a lockdown house where the worst of the worst will be kept until this pandemic is over.
With shoppers hoarding toilet paper as the lockdown hits stage 2. The Premier has begun using terrorism laws to confine residents who are not obeying the new virus regulations. With virus cases now reaching 233 people in the state, I think it's important we lock down 25 million people just in case. And anyone breaching our guidelines can expect some severe penalties and fines.
Hey, you piece of shit housos! Hold on. Someone's knocking on the house. Who's there? We're infected. Our infrared drone has picked you up not social distancing. I'll leave your fines at the front door, shall I?
As if any of us can pay a fucking fine!
Oh, you'll pay them one way or the other, don't you worry.
Infrared drone, not even Dan has that yet.
There you say.
And also,
you say he hasn't got it yet.
And also, you forgot one thing: not wearing a mask as well. Another $200 on there as well.
Yeah. The two constables in Housos, Officer Richard Head and Gary Cock. So Cock and Head.
Yeah, and constables, yes.
We've got David Hiscox from XYZ joining us. How are you, Dave? How are you feeling about the results so far?
Kind of how I was this morning. I still don't really know which way it's going to go. How's Texas looking, Tim?
It's flipped now. Trump is ahead, and Trump has won Florida, which means that Latinos are officially no longer people of color now. They're now white because they voted for Trump. Yeah.
Just
the Hugh Whites.
The rest of Latinos still.
Yeah. Yes, we were just saying before that Enrique Tarrio is now officially white, chairman of the Proud Boys. Now that you're here, Dave, I'm going to step out for a bit.
Okay.
So I'm sure you are capable of engaging Stephen and Pete by yourself.
Because I can't speak when there's somebody else is here to help me.
Do I have to, hold your hand?
Who's
Must
going
be some cognitive dissonance there to meet.
Who's going to look after the? I was hoping Tim could follow the figures for us, but I guess we can figure.
It's all your job, Dave. I'm not technically.
It's on me.
I know. I learned how to turn this thing on. That's all I can do.
I've got another Duvalaki here. I'll see if I can bring something up. It's good to see you, Stephen. It's good to see you, PissyLeaks, as well.
No worries, Dave.
Yeah. So Texas should not be as close as it has been. It should be like just a home run for the Republican Party. We've got to say, like, the reason Texas was close until now, or was going Biden's way until now, is because of race. Because the Democrats tried to bring in illegal and legal immigrants to basically flip the state, and it's still the number one issue in America. Like, this is still like for real Americans, this is what this election is about. It's about immigration. There's not really going to be a democratic solution until there's a demographic solution. That's basically my take on it. So if there's going to be a democratic solution, Trump needs to take Texas and then see if he can actually really push through his agenda in the second term.
I'm not sure if you missed out that most likely the Democrats will have the House, which is going to make it hard for another 2 years until the midterms.
So is it possible that they'll have both houses of Congress?
Yep, we still Democrat run, and also Senate with the Republicans as well. At the moment,
we've only heard one result for the Senate. I think it was Colorado, where the Republican incumbent has lost to the Democrat, and I think that's in the Senate. So yeah, it's not just about the presidential election here. Obviously, it's about what happens.
Oh, absolutely.
For the rest of government, because if Trump, even if Trump wins a landslide, but he loses the Senate and Democrats keep the House, then he's stuffed. He'll just be he'll basically be a powerless president if that happens. So
yes, unless yes. Let's just get those executive orders out.
Yeah, but I mean, if you think the impeachment process was full crazy the last 4 years, imagine what it would be like if Democrats ran both houses. Yeah. Imagine the shit they'll start coming up with then. In fact, imagine the shit they're going to try and come up with then already after they've tried so hard for 4 years to oust him. So yeah, but at least they're being exposed for what they are. The other thing we've been noticing so far is that Biden seems to take an early lead everywhere, and we think that's all of the mail-in votes. Yes. And then sort of the true reflection of what's happening in each state gradually brings things back. So it looks like the demographics have been offset a little bit by all of the scandal that's happened in the last few weeks, and that is probably the only thing that's saving Trump. If it wasn't for that, then you would see the mail-in vote be the result, because all of these votes obviously happened before this, or most of them happened before the laptop scandal came out. And so you have to think, well, what would have happened without it? And that is, even if it doesn't manifest in this election, like you were saying, the demographics have been changing. More, and getting to that point of no return in more and more places. So when I was looking at the COVID figures for the US and stuff, like just in the last year alone, the US population grew from 329 million to 331. An extra 2 million people have come in or been born, or it's grown by 2 million in the last year alone. So we're probably talking 7 million new people in America since the 2016 election. Yes. And, and then that's going to be 15 million extra people between 2016 and 2024. And inch by inch, bit by bit, Democrats will basically flip more and more states. I mean, California used to be a Republican stronghold.
Republican. That's it.
Yeah,
that's it.
Yeah, the last time he used to be a Republican was back in the 80s, I think, during the Reagan years, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, that was the last time.
California.
Yeah, that was the last time. And now, the governor can literally burn down the entire state around people, and people will still vote for him. It's like Hawaii. It's like Hawaii. Hawaii is another place where it's just been Democrat forever, and doesn't matter how much corruption goes on, they will always be Democrat.
Yeah, that's the full spectrum dominance that the left have. In those leftist states, they control the bureaucracies, they control the education, the academia, the media, entertainment. So yeah, every sort of push is always just further to the left. Every push against the system is just going, oh, we know that we're left, but we need to go further left. That's basically what's happened in Washington and Oregon. Yeah, it's a hell of a way to run a political party, isn't it? Basically saying, look, we want to bring in more people who will vote for us. So it's like, if you think about it, like if you live in a country and there's one political party there saying, look, the people who live in this country, for starters, you're bad. This country is bad and we need to change everything about it. You people who are the descendants of the people who made this country, you're bad, your descendants are bad, and we need to replace you. Our entire political approach is going to be based on bringing in other people to come in and vote for us to change this country. It's one hell of a political platform. It's not so much a political platform as it is a declaration of war. It's basically saying, we hate all of you. We hate all of you so much that we're going to bring in other people to replace you. That's basically the Democrat Party. And that basically sums up what this election is about. You've got one president, you've got the president who says, I love this country and I love its people, and I'm going to do everything I can for its people. And the other party is saying, we hate this country and we hate its people and we want to replace them. I've got to say, I'm just on the Australian website, they've got a headline saying, bookies now have Trump as firm favourite. And I just saw a little graphic change. G'day, Richard. I saw a little graphic change in Pennsylvania from light blue to light to basically pink. So it looks like Pennsylvania may be flipping for Donald Trump as well.
Cool. Yeah, I was very pessimistic at the start of this day because it was showing, North Carolina especially was looking like it was flipping Democrat, and there was quite a fair number of votes already counted, and but that's like tightening. So I don't know what the when 20% of the vote was counted, I don't know how far ahead Biden was. But it seems fairly consistent from the voters on the day that that the percentages are in Trump's favor, and it's just a question of how close to the wire it has to get before the voters of today flip the voters of the mail-in system.
Yeah.
So how are we doing?
Pretty good. If
pretty good, mate. Pretty good.
In terms of Trump.
What did he say?
How's it? Yeah, I'm going pretty well, Richard. How about you?
I'm good. I haven't really been following it too much. I've just heard that, it's still a bit, 50-50, but it's leaning Trump's way. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yeah. It's, like the votes, if I'm looking at the Australian here, it's giving 131 electoral college votes to Biden and 98 to Trump. But they've got the headline there, bookies now have Trump as firm favorite. It looks like he's going to win Texas, Florida. He's ahead in Pennsylvania as well.
He's a strong finisher. And how are we doing in Texas? There's a bit of a scare in Texas. Is that right?
There was. I was saying when I just jumped on that 15 minutes ago myself, Texas should never have been this close. It's only this close because the Democrats have done everything they can to flip it demographically so that they can flip it.
Of course.
Vote-wise.
This is... Yeah, I noticed what you're saying before. Obviously, that's the whole point of multiculturalism and diversity, which is, to replace the indigenous population, which is not the Aborigines in this case, which happens to be us Europeans in our various countries around the world.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they want to get rid of every European country.
And also, they want to destabilize it so that they're basically like third world countries, because the elite. I mean, if you look at the way the elite exploits third world countries, I mean, that's what they want for everybody. They just want to keep everybody in kind of, abject poverty, and then they're easily controlled. It's a very old trick. I mean, there's nothing particularly new about what the globalists are up to. I mean, it's been around since the time of kings and, before ancient Egypt even.
They just give it new names. They just give it new names, like
they always do. Basically, the little guy gets fucked by the the people with power. I mean, it's a very familiar story.
Yes.
Usually with these elections, especially as I mentioned earlier before, Ardern in New Zealand, Palachuk and Palaszczuk in Queensland. Now, the incumbent should win. Usually does win in this sort of situation like the pandemic.
Yes, well, there was something about this pandemic, though, that was aimed at Trump, the kind of, to make out that he'd done badly. I mean, obviously, they poured the virus all over America. I'm sure Chinese fifth agents, fifth columns were running around the country spreading it and doing everything they can. Obviously, I think this whole COVID thing has been aimed at Donald Trump, and obviously everyone else in Western countries and everyone else in every other country of the world. We're collateral damage, basically.
It's very conveniently it prevented a whole lot of organisation against globalism. It's provided a very convenient excuse for them to just to have none.
Can we got a map we can look at? Do we have an electoral college map?
I don't have the tech to bring one up here on.
We're waiting for Tim to come back to us.
He's off going to the bathroom or having a wank, or what's he up to? Jeffrey Toobin, he's been warned after Jeffrey Toobin, he can't do that,
I can describe a map to you. Basically, I'm looking at a map here on the Australian, and it's got, as usual, it's got the sort of the northeast corner of those small states. Plus New York, it's looking blue. You've got like Illinois and possibly the couple of the states next to it going blue. But then you've got the massive red in the middle of the country. Colorado, Arizona.
Any surprises?
Could be.
So far? Either way.
North Carolina was looking pretty iffy for Trump for quite a long time. It looks like it's tightening now, but Biden was ahead quite substantially for, going up to about 70% of the vote counted, and it looked like North Carolina was going to fall to him. It looks like Trump might just pull it back in the end there, and we're thinking it's because of Biden must have had a huge lead from the mail-in votes there to start off with, and it's just gradually pulling back. But it was looking very, 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 very depressing when I first came on.
Was it really?
Yeah, I was quite pessimistic when I was looking at the original things.
I've got to say, Stephen, I remember last year I was able to watch the whole election. Last year, 4 years ago, I was able to watch the whole thing. And
time flies when you're having fun, Dave.
Like this time around, early days, it was looking all Clinton. I turned the television on, and I thought, okay, well, let's get ready for World War III. And then within an hour, things started flipping. So maybe it just took a little longer to flip this time. I don't know. Maybe it's demographics. Maybe it's just what it is on the day.
Yeah, I'm seeing some maps at the moment. It's hard to. Is there a good one to look at that you can recommend?
I'm looking at the Australian. They've got a graphic on the front page there. I'm sure most
the Australian
would have one. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Let's have a look at that.
But yeah, what is it? North Carolina does look rather Biden-ish. Minnesota, Biden ahead, but that's only 33% of the vote. Ohio. Oh yeah, Ohio is going Trump's way. I'm thinking of Illinois.
Well, that's good. That was one of the ones he had to win. Florida, he had to win, and Pennsylvania. How's he doing in Pennsylvania?
He's ahead,
and he should hold on to. And he should hold on to Texas. So that means he should win. Yes, technically.
Yeah, because that's the thing. If he's got Florida,
is it time to break out the hats? Or?
Well, you can call it now if you want. Basically, on the Australian here, they're saying bookies now have Trump as firm favourite. We're looking at those key states: Florida, Pennsylvania, Texas, even Michigan as well.
Yeah. How long will it take to know?
I think it might even be just a couple more hours.
Yep, until we know. Oh, maybe we're a bit premature. What's the word?
Premature celebration. Yeah.
That's the word. Premature celebration. That's the one I was looking for.
Premature ejaculation.
How are you, Stephen? Been enjoying your post? You posted a really good post the other day from some woman who was going on about the Great Reset. That was fantastic, I think.
Yeah, I think my wife had to do that on my behalf because I've been banned again from Facebook.
Oh, dear.
And it was quite interesting, my ban, because all I did, the reason for the ban was I made a comment about how the Queensland election wasn't depressing because Labour won. It was depressing because of how One Nation and all the minor parties vote crashed. And that was really all I said. Apart from, I said, because I had like in parentheses what I said, because it doesn't matter if the Liberal Party had won. You only have to look at Scott Morrison's support of the COVID hoax. And I think that just having that word COVID hoax in it.
Yeah, that'll shut you down. That'll shut you down.
Shut me down.
Well,
So
I mean,
30-day ban.
I've had an amazing 5 weeks on Facebook. I mean, at the beginning of October, they shut me down without reason on Facebook. Like, there was no reason. They said, "Oh, this is why," and they sent me to like this article, and had nothing there. It was nothing. And then normally you can appeal it. I always appealed it, and they wouldn't let me appeal it. So anyway, that was like that. And then 2 weeks into October, they let me out. And then I was on Facebook again for about a week, and I was watching what I said. I wasn't posting anything too often in the far fascists, so to speak. So I was watching what I posted, and then they said I wasn't allowed to post on a thing called complex entities, which is like groups. Like if you wanted to go to Donald Trump's page, you couldn't make a comment, but you could comment on your friends' pages. So I was banned from complex entities. Again, no reason was given for that, and that was for almost 2 months into December. And then about a week later, just again, almost for nothing, they just said, "Oh, yeah, you got another month's ban." Basically, it was like almost like, because I think I'm obviously a strong Trump supporter within the local arts community, and it's sort of a bit of an outlier, that they just wanted to shut me the fuck up, and they did.
Yeah, I think the same here, and the timing of it, because it was just like I've been posting without any problems, and also obviously just watching the rhetoric that I was using, just before the US election, a 30-day ban. So, but yeah, did you see my speech in front of Parliament? That's up there. That's quite. No,
I didn't.
So on my page, I was invited down to a protest against all the lockdowns and stuff, and it was also a bit of a show of support for Margaret Court's Victory Life charity. And it wasn't as many people as the last protest, but I got to speak in front of Parliament, and I'm quite proud of my little effort. So I'll put that up on the.
And so you actually think there is no COVID-19? Is that right? You do think it doesn't even exist? Is that what you're saying?
Basically that there's no evidence to say that any new virus exists. No,
it does seem to be. I've heard of anecdotal evidence from friends in America and in Europe of people who does seem to have some kind of new flu that seems a little unusual. Like it's not like that. There's like it doesn't look exactly like something we'd seen before. There does seem to be some. I mean, I do find it hard to believe that they could create this crisis without actually something. I mean, it might not be as virulent, I agree, but I do think there's something real in it. I find it hard to accept that there's nothing.
The main reason that I've gone on the side of the being absolutely nothing is that I'm looking at the total numbers of deaths for all causes, and especially in the US, there are actually fewer deaths this year than there were last year.
Flu deaths have gone to almost. I mean, there's been no flu. No one's been getting the flu. It is like this is this year's flu, and it obviously I think we can maybe grant it's a strong flu because I mean otherwise if it was a weak flu they couldn't have possibly have done this surely. So it's a strong flu maybe, but I don't know.
Yeah, I mean the whole point is when you're looking at things scientifically, the onus of proof for something new is on the person making the claim. And they basically have to sort of say, well, look, this is the evidence that something new has occurred, and so far they haven't done that. They haven't actually been able to isolate the virus. There's a couple of papers out saying they've isolated a virus, but basically all they've done is they've picked some soup. They haven't actually gone through the proper process to isolate a virus and show that it causes anything. What they've got instead is 10 years worth of research and patents into pissing around with various RNA strands in genetic soup, and patenting virus technology and patenting cures and patenting the tests and stuff. So they've got this whole infrastructure set up to basically capitalize monetarily on anything that they decide to call a virus. The PCR tests, again, they don't actually, they're never designed for testing a new virus, never designed for
I agree with
diagnosing
that.
people.
I agree with that. Yes.
And the whole testing procedure, they can basically, if you want 0 cases, all you have to do is reduce the number of cycles that you amplify whatever genetic soup that you're looking at. If you want more cases, you just increase the number of cycles that you're looking at.
Exactly, and I think that's what's happening in Victoria at the moment, because we've recorded like 5 days of 0, and that's because I think Dan wants to appear like, look, I locked you down hard, but look now, like we're not even having 1 case. I mean, it seems like it is like a play we're participating in, or like some kind of media psyop. I mean, that's been a huge part of this.
The thing is, we don't know actually how many businesses or agencies are involved in the actual diagnostic process. We also don't know what the protocols are for the number of cycles used. We've heard that it's not standardized across the world; it's different. We don't know that it can change it at a whim. So, I mean, let's all it requires is somebody at the head of a company to say, "Hey, we're changing our protocols. We're going to make our protocols now that we're going to go with 29 cycles instead of 32." And then, all of a sudden, the number of cases drops. And then a few months later, we're going to go with 32 again.
As we all know, we've got to watch the protocols.
Yeah.
It all starts from there. There.
All right, I'm back now to help better guide you all.
Here he is.
Our glorious leader.
Glorious leader. Bow down. We are not worthy. We are not worthy.
You could cope without me.
I've been describing maps to people, Tim. We need you to put them up for us.
Show us a map, mate.
Show us a map.
I was actually trying to share the Australia myself. Actually, I'm not sure if it's come through. The Australian web page. It won't let me.
No,
it's okay. I've got.
We need our glorious leaders to do that.
That's right.
We're heading North Carolina. North Carolina.
Good stuff.
Yeah. So Trump's ahead now in Michigan, Wisconsin, in Ohio, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, Texas. So far, the early count in Arizona has favored Joe Biden. If we go to my own electoral map, so I've called Florida and Georgia for Trump, because if you have a look at the Georgia count at the moment, 56%. Trump is way ahead, but yeah, Trump is now ahead in all the. Well, it's tightened up in Arizona with 71% counted. If Trump wins all the swing states, who cares about Arizona?
Yep. Well, we were
and who cares about Iowa?
If he wins Pennsylvania, Florida, and Texas, you can just about call it for him, really.
Yeah.
Is that true?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. And is he leading in all those states?
He's ahead in all 3. Yeah.
Yeah, he's ahead in North Carolina again. So why don't we do?
Is it time? Is it time?
Why don't we do the map here? Remember, this is just if we do these.
Break out the red hats, mate.
So Iowa. Where's Iowa? Who's? I'm hearing myself echo. Who hasn't got headphones in properly?
I've got headphones in, my great leader. Hang on, maybe I haven't. Hello? Yep, no, I have. Blue, look at all these blue. Who's doing that? Are you doing that? You've turned all these states blue. Tim, what are you doing?
Yeah, so even if Trump loses, Indiana's got to be red.
Yep.
I think I've got it all right here. So even if Trump loses Arizona and Iowa, which he is behind in both of those states at the moment, it doesn't matter. He'd still win with 294 electoral votes.
But we will say this, that Biden is, let's credit where credit's due, Biden is doing better than Hillary. Would you say that? Yes?
We'll see what you'd have to. You would expect him to do a bit better than Hillary. Yes.
How many electoral votes did Hillary win in the last election? Do you remember?
232.
She won 232. And Trump won how many? 306. 306. Oh, great. Well, that's interesting. Very interesting, boys.
So Trump is ahead in the popular vote at the moment, 52.2% to Biden's 48.2%. But once
wouldn't it just be beautiful if Trump wins the popular vote? And
he won't, because they haven't even counted in California, Oregon, and Washington.
Oh, yeah. All the foreigners in California. And do we know anything about, this is the presidential election, do we know anything about, like the other Republican things in the Senate and the House? The House
is going to be projected Democrats retain, so Nancy Pelosi will still be Speaker. Senate, Mitch McConnell and Lindsey Graham have been re-elected despite all the money that the Democrats have thrown at them.
Yep.
And this is the lesson about this election, again, no matter how much money, star power, fake news and social media bias, they still haven't blasted Trump from the White House.
Yeah. No. Looks like he's going to hold on.
People still lie to the pollers. That's the really big deal here. Like, can you really trust the polls ever again?
No, I don't think so.
You can imagine that the political environment in America is only going to get more and more polarized. So people are only going to lie more and more to pollsters. So do those the companies that exist? A lot of them could go bust or
yeah.
I know, who am I kidding?
Did you see the?
They're just going to keep lying.
Well, I was saying earlier, the whole point about the pollsters isn't to provide facts anymore. They are just another activist organization that deliberately skew things to try and psychologically influence people before they vote.
It's also
So people to feel dejected enough not to go out and vote for the people they don't want them to vote for, and also to rally support for, to go along with the flow and be part of the trend on the positive side. So, yeah, polls are nothing more than just another long march through the institutions.
Washington, D.C. Was kind of boarded up, and that almost seemed to bode well for Trump, because obviously if Trump was going to lose, they weren't going to need to border anything up, because I imagine Antifa would be having what's it called, marshmallow picnic or something, if Biden were to win, but I don't think a marshmallow picnic is coming, just quietly.
It's a massive it was a massive tell, wasn't it? The fact that Washington D.C. and New York City were boarding up.
That's not controlled by Trump. It's not Trump going, oh, you better put that up. That's like the Democrat-controlled people thinking, oh, we're probably going to lose. So we better board everything else up.
It was the major
back in a second, guys.
i.e.
Tony Kammeroff.
The major SJW.
He's gone off to do a Jeffrey Toobin. Now, Jeffrey Toobin made that mistake. He made that mistake. And then he lost his job at did he lose his job? No.
I can't believe he actually lost his job for that. Surely he'd have to go a bit further.
Well, he's a globalist wanker, quite literally. So,
Trump is now quite comfortably ahead in North Carolina now by 36,000 votes.
Nice.
But now comes basically because we're starting to call most things now. But of course, nobody is allowed to claim victory until CNN and Fox News's supercomputers call it.
I think we can call it. We're going to call it for Donald Trump.
Lady sings, yeah?
It's time for the Trump hats. Have you got your Trump hats ready, boys?
Oh.
Dave, you don't actually wear hats. You don't hide your shiny head.
He wants to, go the Jean-Luc Picard look,
Yeah, I'm just doing my best to impersonate the ASIO head, Simon Burgess.
Is that Mr. Penis Head?
Mike Burgess.
Yeah, Bruce Willis. It's your Bruce Willis. You look a bit like Bruce Willis.
Extreme right-wing extremist.
Die hard. Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker!
So who's PissyLeaks Pete? You've got a picture of Trump with the Star of David on his chest.
The Zio Trump. So I was between Zio Trump or Basement Joel. So I predict early Zio Trump.
Zio Trump.
Yep.
I had been suggesting
that's low energy. It's low energy, I'm afraid.
That's right.
I had been suggesting that an alternative title for today's live stream could be "America Votes, Jews Decide." But anyway,
Well, I mean, obviously, Trump is very pro-Israel. Like, he's pro the Zionist side. Whereas with Biden, you get both. You get the pro-Zionist side and you get the liberal Jewish side. So it's like a double win. Well. And it's only a half win with Trump. So a half win is better than a full win. If you know what I mean.
There you go.
Yeah, I'll pay that.
Apparently, in Florida, the Trump supporters, where pretty much Florida is like the only public display of support for any candidate is for Trump. That's where they've had the Trump convoys, the boat shows. They're all out on the streets in Florida celebrating.
Great, that's the spirit.
Cool. I just enjoyed the Amish support of Trump.
Oh, I love that.
That was brilliant. And apparently the Biden-Harris bus came past and they just called her a whore.
Yep. No, I like that. That was good. It was like Hong Kongers for Trump was a good group. There was Jews for Trump. I'd like that one. There was Asians for Trump. They were meant to hold a key, apparently. I don't know if they did.
There's also the LGBTs for Trump as well.
Well, we can't leave them out, for God's sake,
Yeah.
Milo Yiannopoulos and all that,
Florida is, like, we talk a lot about the demographic changes in America brought by diversity. Florida is the exception, which has always been a melting pot of diversity, yet all of them have voted for Trump. It's one of the few melting pots that really works successfully.
And fighting words, Tim.
Whereabouts is this? In New York?
Florida.
There's no such thing as a melting pot.
But we all know now that Florida is officially a white supreme state now, where nobody.
I'll tell you, if we want to talk about multiculturalism, okay, there's one country in the world where I've thought multiculturalism kind of worked, right? And it was Singapore. No, Singapore. No, I'd like to see multiculturalism. Singapore was a strange country. I mean, it's run by a kind of fascist state. I mean, like, when I say fascist, I mean mild fascist. Like the authoritarian right wing. Lee Kuan Yew, I think, was the founder of the state. The party's called the PIP Party. It uses like a symbol like the Mosley symbol, which is a lightning bolt. And I often go to Singapore on the other place when I'm going to other places in Japan or Thailand or Bali. I use that as a hub, But I always spend about 5 days there. I really like the place because it's extreme. It's rather totalitarian. There's no graffiti anywhere. And it's about 1/3 European, 1/3, I guess, Asian. Some people are locals and some are Chinese. And then there's about another third who are Indian. But because it's so authoritarian, and there's about 1/3 are Muslim as well, too. But because it's so authoritarian, they've never had a terrorist attack. Because I think if they did, the families get, done in or whatever. Not done in, but deported or I don't know, God knows, sent to jail. So it's rather, heavy law and order place. And I really liked it. And that's one country on earth where I thought, well, it's got to be a heavy right-wing authoritarianism if it works. So that was my opinion.
So you're saying the only way to make
multiculturalism work
is to have an authoritarian government.
Is to have a right-wing authority. Yeah, Gilead, Gilead light. Doesn't have to be quite as extreme.
Does that mean that multiculturalism, by definition, undermines our democratic values?
Of course it does. I mean, we know it does. But I'm just saying it's interesting. I'm a world traveler, and, most of the third world countries you go to, Singapore is not a third world country. It's one of the few, it's one of the Asian lions. I really like Singapore. I also really like Japan. I mean, we all know Japan is great, completely based. It's not multicultural at all. It's about 98% Japanese. There's a small 1% expat community, and there's tourists, and there's a few foreign workers from Korea and other Asian places, but that's about it. And obviously they fought with an interesting team during World War II, and they're quite based.
So when the left accuse people on the right, whenever we question immigration, they accuse us of undermining our democratic values. Actually, we're reinforcing democratic values, because if you want multiculturalism, you have to have authoritarianism.
I do think, I mean, that's the only time I've ever seen it work. Obviously, everywhere else, it's a kind of destabilizing nightmare. And I do think that it leads to one kind of totalitarianism. Obviously, it could probably lead to left-wing totalitarianism, but it can also lead to right-wing totalitarianism. So, there it is. It's just, I just wanted to make that comment. I'm not saying I'm in favor of either end particularly. Obviously, Singapore is a great place to visit. I'm not sure I'd want to live there because it is extremely strict. Just drinking in public, you can get God knows. They give you 30 lashes over there. I mean, it's a bit like Saudi Arabia, mate. You know?
I like the idea of having the best of both worlds. You could have a bit of right-wing,
a little bit, yeah.
Plus
a little.
A lot of white ethno state. Like
there's no litter as well. There's no litter in Singapore. I'm amazed. It's just like the streets are clean, people are friendly, everyone's extremely polite. I love it. You know? Anyway, back to the election, gang.
I mean, well, back to Florida.
Yep.
By definition, it's not a melting pot. Like if it was a melting pot, then the Cubans would just lose their identity and wouldn't have a definite voting agenda either way. It's actually like the opposite of a melting pot. The Cubans have gone there, held on very strongly to their Cuban identity, and voted very strongly based on their Cuban identity, as in their Cuban identity is based on the fact that they fled communism and they don't want it. So it's the opposite.
Actually, that brings up. Yeah. Now I'm going to say something else. I'm going to say something else that's what's it called, heretical on a show like this. I've been to Cuba, and I went to Cuba in 2012, and I fucking loved it. Actually, again, that's multicultural a little, and that's left-wing authoritarian. And again, it was peaceful, and of course there was nothing in the shops. You know, there was nothing in the shops. But then again, you know, if you've seen the last 6 months, you don't need to shop every day. You know,
well,
what
as
I mean?
we're told,
I really liked Cuba. I mean, I think Castro was still alive when I was there. He was still alive, like he was old, retired. And I loved Cuba. They had amazing bookshops. I bought all these amazing books on, Castro's books and like books of his political philosophy, because I love reading about crazy left-wingers. And he was a very strong nationalist as well. He combined communism with nationalism. And I like the way he stood up to the FBI and the CIA. He was like, really, get fucked. And they tried to kill him like 200 times. You know, the beard, mate. He's great. You know.
Trump has definitely won North Carolina now with 91% in. He is now ahead by nearly 150,000 votes.
Wow, what a turnaround.
Oh, that's the spirit.
Going back to Florida for a moment, you talked about the Cubans. There's this tweet from this, I don't know who he is, Tom Nichols, who said, I think we all underestimated how much people in some states were going to be reluctant to give up white minority rule. So implying that Florida is a state where the non-whites are still happy to vote for whites.
I see. Interesting.
Well, this probably America, isn't it? Like it's a white country, and they came to America to get away from all the non-whites that they used to live with. So, if they vote for the other side, who promised to bring in more non-whites, they're like, well, why did we even come here in the first place?
Something's really weird's happening in the state of Virginia. Because this is Fox News, they've called Virginia, yet with 56% in, Trump is ahead 52% to 46% Joe Biden. So unless they're certain, the decision desk or supercomputer, whatever they use, that all these votes are going to flood into Biden, that's very strange.
Oh, right. So
whereabouts is Virginia? Straight in the middle?
Right next to Washington, D.C.
Oh, I see. Yep. West Virginia, is it? Or...
No, Virginia. West Virginia is next to Virginia.
Oh, they're calling it for Biden. That's weird. How many electoral college votes does it have?
13, so decent amount.
Yeah. Well, that seems like it's a Trump win. That's again false reporting. You see.
Well, that's only 56% in. So
yeah, that's true.
Even Fox News, they'll call things early for Biden, but wait till the very last minute to call things for Trump. I was talking about
before.
They're
trying to get the dramatic finish, are they?
Dramatic finish.
Because
he's a strong finisher.
I've already said about 2016, it was so obvious that Trump was going to win Michigan and Pennsylvania, yet I think it took about another 2 hours for Fox and CNN to call it. So it's like, he's going to win. Like, just call it, because Trump wouldn't come out until they'd called it.
What time did Trump come out last time in 2016? At what time of night in New York? When did he come out and make his announcement? Anyone remember that?
It was about 9:30.
Was it midnight in New York time?
I think it was about 9:30 New York time.
9:30 New York time.
What about our time?
What time is it in New York now? Let's have a look. I'll look that up. I'll find that information, boys. You go on with something else.
I'll look at my clock here.
Yeah, Dave, I want to pick up what you said about the Cubans. Their identity in Florida is anti-communist, and this brings me back to Samuel P. Huntingdale's book, The Clash of Civilizations. How after communism had collapsed, he predicted that the people of the earth would become tribal, but now that communism is back, there's obviously in areas where there's this communist threat, then tribalism is going down. And obviously the Cubans, they've never forgotten that their identity is more anti-communist in Florida than actually Cuban culture. So that's
they're still voting as an identity. They're still voting as a bloc, though. So
but I'm saying they're voting for an They're voting for an ideology and against another ideology.
Yes.
It's not
as an ethnic group.
So New York's 13 hours behind. It's 10:35 p.m. yesterday in New York still.
So it's quite late still. They're probably not going to be able to call it for another 2 or 3 hours at least. It's by the look of things.
Yeah. So this is sort of what we call the because whenever we've done these election streams throughout the year, we've known who's going to win, and now we're just basically twiddling our thumbs like, come on, mainstream media, we know the result, call it. So the victor can make their speech and the loser can make their concession speech. But Biden isn't going to concede. He's going to say there's mail-in ballots to come.
Well, one of the things that oh, sorry, you go, Stephen.
I was going to say that the other thing they're going to say is that Trump's rigged the election somehow.
Yeah. And Trump's going to say that they did. So we're in for a shit fight, I guess.
Even with all this mail-in ballot stuff, they still haven't like everything they've thrown. They've tried to.
They keep losing. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, and all the money that the Democrats spent in the Senate race in Kentucky against Mitch McConnell and in South Carolina against Lindsey Graham, came to nothing.
Mason Verger's back, is he?
Sorry?
Oh, my name for Mitch McConnell is Mason Verger because he's got that funny face. I like Mitch McConnell though. He's been returned, has he?
Yes, he has. Because we were talking about in 2018 how Beto O'Rourke, the Democrats threw everything at trying to unseat Ted Cruz. It was the most expensive Senate race of all time.
Yeah.
And it's still going to be.
Is Ted Cruz back? How's Ted Cruz doing?
No, he's not up for election.
No. Is he a senator? Oh, he's not. His senator's not up. Okay. Yeah. Sorry, it's the Republicans and the president. Is that right?
It's it's 1/3 of the Senate, the presidency, and the full House.
Yeah, the House and the president. That's what's up for grabs.
Mm-hmm. It's definitely worth checking out a lot of the social media chatter now, because that gives you a good barometer of how the establishment is truly feeling.
The left wing are panicking.
Yeah,
I have a lot of left wingers on my page from the film industry, and they're all panicked. I'll tell you that much. So that's good
apparently,
news.
the Young Turks, they're on the verge of another meltdown.
Great. Oh, let's check in with them.
I think Yogurt going to crack another fat, I assume.
Sorry?
Is Chink Yogurt going to crack another fat?
Oh, no, it's the other one. What is that? What's her name? Anna Kasparian or something.
Oh, the one who stuck her finger up at the camera, yeah?
It's like I have no respect for women who vote for Trump. And she did that famous thing where she said, "Yeah, I'm fucking better than you, much better than you. You are garbage."
So one of the questions that we'll have to look at over the next couple of hours is whether Donald Trump can win decisively enough for the left to sort of give up on the plan to basically tear the country apart.
Oh, no, they won't. They won't. It doesn't matter if he won like Boris Johnson won in a landslide in 2019, and yet they were still out there protesting, "Not my prime minister."
Yeah, but if they're able to genuinely contest it, then they'll be able to push it a little bit harder. If Donald Trump is elected decisively, and they're out there rioting, it could be a little different. It'd be nice to see Donald Trump crack down quite hard.
I think so. I think that's one of the things I've been using that as a byline. You know, Donald Trump, term 2, no more Mr. Nice Guy. You know what I mean? Like, because he doesn't have to be as nice in term 2. And I think that's what they're also worried about too. But I mean, obviously they've hated him, and they've thought the last thing in the world he is a nice guy. But now he can actually be a little bit, and he can really, begin to, I mean, he's called Antifa terrorists, so let's start treating them like terrorists. Let's start renditioning them.
One of the things he said in one of his one of his rallies very close to the election was about draining the swamp, and he said, "Look, we've drained a little bit, but we've got a lot to go, and once we win, this is when we're really going to get started on it. We're really going to." We're really going to be tackling it next term because
that's what I hope.
The swamp has thrown everything at us, and now
it's time to throw everything at the swamp.
It's everything at the swamp. So he said words to that effect on the last thing. So, and that's all I've ever cared about Trump. It was like, I don't care about any of his other promises. I just want to see Hillary in jail.
That'd be nice, or at least
if Hillary or Biden goes to jail, then I'd be like, okay, Trump, you finally got my respect. I think originally I was thinking if he pulled out of the Paris Accords, he'd get my respect. But he did that. But I just want more. I'm like, I've got this.
You want more? You're greedy for more.
I've got this left wing, psychological defect from the left that I've brought with me that I just want more. It's never enough.
Do you think the corruption that they've found on Joe Biden in relation to Hunter Biden, his laptop, and bribes from Ukraine, bribes from China, do you think that if Biden loses and does concede and kind of pisses off, do you think Trump will go after him? Or Trump's the kind of guy who doesn't, if Joe concedes and bows out gracefully, I think Trump's the kind of guy who's a bit like a sportsman.
Let it go. Yeah. Well, he did that with Hillary, didn't he?
he did a little, yeah. He's like
because after he won, there was all of these chants of lock her up, lock her up, lock her up, and he was like, we won, and it was like that was the most disappointing thing. It was like, yeah, you won, kill the bitch.
No, but it's a kind of brinkmanship. It's a kind of brinkmanship doing that because you can you get more flies with honey than you do with vinegar. But I mean, it didn't really work though. I mean, they were so nasty to him. So I do think that Trump turned to.
Yeah, I mean, look, Biden. The only thing that would save Biden is dementia. And I'm fairly sure that if they did try and lock Biden up, that the first thing that would happen is his dementia would suddenly become more apparent, and he would be considered not fit for trial. But
exactly.
But I mean, Pelosi. I mean, the stuff about Pelosi's son is just as bad as what's come out about Hunter Biden and the corruption and all the money that Pelosi has got over the years. So
what state is Pelosi from? I mean, she's
California.
Really, oh my God! I mean,
San
she's
Francisco.
really unbelievable. She's the most poisonous. I'll use the word bitch I've ever seen in American politics. I mean, compared with Hillary, I prefer Hillary to
Dianne Feinstein?
Nancy Pelosi.
She's pretty bad as well.
Well, you could put those three on a boat and sink it, and it would be an interesting day for humanity.
I went to San Francisco before there was poop on the street.
I went there a couple of times in the 90s, and again, I enjoyed San Francisco. Got some great record stores, and obviously, I went and checked out the Haight-Ashbury district and the whole hippie thing, where the Manson family used to live and everything, all that stuff, and where Kenneth Anger used to live. So it was a fun place. It was beginning to fall apart. I was probably last there maybe in the double O's, sometime in the mid double O's. But it was the homeless problem was getting out of control then.
Yeah, 1990 was when I was there, so a long time ago. It was nice in 1990.
I was there 2004, and the homeless problem was really starting to kick off. I was there right in the middle.
Are you pouring water again, Dave?
Yeah, I'm just trying to trigger our favorite guest. Our favorite fan. I was in the Sirloin district. It was pretty full on, and you could smell something as well.
I went to New York when I was 20 in 1989, and that was my first overseas trip. I went to 4 American cities. I worked a crap job for a couple of years and saved up enough money when I was a teenager. And when I turned 20, I flew to New York, Chicago, Los Angeles, and I can't remember the fourth city, but I'll probably remember. But yeah, New York was great in the late 80s, but it was it was like the sleazy as hell, man. Like, you know, like 42nd Street when it used to be all trash. It was like a bit like Superman, but more like a Taxi Driver. You know what I mean? Like, you know, pimps and hookers and, you know, all the bad stuff, and, you know, and it was just
not quite the Warriors though. You know, Warriors come out to play.
It wasn't quite. It was still unsafe in certain areas. So I would wear a punk T-shirt. I was into a few electronic punk bands like Ministry and the Revolting Cocks. I went to Chicago to go to Wax Trax Records that I really love. Front 242, these electronic kind of, you know, industrial noise bands I liked, and I got a lot of T-shirts and music from there. And then I went to New York after that, and then so I wore a lot of these. So I looked like a punk, I guess. And I guess I was a bit of a goth at the time, you know.
Yeah, I was there in 1990, and I wore my leather jacket, and I was reasonably well built at the time as well, and travelled the subways late at night to the far extremes of the subway, and everyone kept out my way.
I mean, it's like
they thought I was the one who was going to mug them, you know.
I went to Baltimore not that long ago. I was flying over when I made the film The Beautiful and Damned. I got flown to about 10 years ago. I got flown to Baltimore, which is where they shot The Wire. And obviously, I wanted to do the tourist things. And Baltimore's a really interesting town because half of it is like The Wire, and the other half is this really nice, genteel kind of southern. You know, it's up the top, really. It's near Washington, but it's a southern town technically, and it's got this beautiful university, Johns Hopkins University there, and it's just really part of the town's nice. And we would go to dinner at the Peabody Library. Then I'd go and explore the town, and I'd go to like the Edgar Allan Poe house and things like that. And that's in a really bad part of town. So I dressed down, and then if, you know, black guys would come up to you, and you'd have to pretend to buy drugs or something just to get out of there alive. You'd say, "Oh, come on, what do you got? What do you got? Give me some pot, $20. Here you go."
When I was there in 2004, I didn't quite understand the concept that if you cross the street in America, all of a sudden you're in a bad part of town.
That is literally what it's like in Baltimore. I couldn't believe it. And so it's weird. I got invited there by the S. Scott Fitzgerald Society because I adapted a S. Scott Fitzgerald novel, The Beautiful and Damned. And, you know, like the night before, I was sitting at a table, and there was a Rockefeller, like he was Rockefeller the Sixth or something, I don't know, at my table. And then the next day, I'm walking around the Wire. I thought it was a very interesting contrast.
Yeah, there you go. I walked to the wrong side of the street, and so had some diversity asking me for money. And I think by this stage, this was in Washington, D.C., I'd sort of worked my way across from west to the east. And so by this stage, I was over it, and I didn't pay them any attention. And back in the day, like you may have seen the old photos of me. I had the big afro.
I haven't seen the old photos of you. I didn't know the bald you.
Like, but my dad said to me, "Flaunt it while you've got it." So I did. Like, I had a big, massive afro. And so,
no, you don't. So go for it where you can. I'm hanging on.
Yeah, flaunt it.
Hanging on while it lasts.
The diverse woman is just keeps mouthing off at me, and I just walk off, pay no attention, and eventually she calls out, "You fuzzy white motherfucker!"
Well, if you guys are calling it, I'm calling it. Trump 2020.
You're calling it?
Good. Yeah, I'm calling it personally.
I'll call it with you.
Even though I predicted it beforehand, but I might as well call it now.
Yeah, I'll call it with you, mate. You know, let's all call it. You calling it Trump?
Yep.
PissyLeaks?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
And Stephen, you're calling it?
I'll crack open the champagne, yeah.
All right, break out the champers.
I'm calling it, and the deciding factor for me in calling it is I'm just on Twitter now, news.com. They have a headline here: "Arrogant Aussie election coverage slams," with the little note here: "Australians who are tuning into media outlets for US election results today say the Sky coverage is substandard, irresponsible, and arrogant." So Donald Trump is going to win.
Yeah, that's looking good. All right. Well, look. Where's our glorious leader gone? Is he gone off to do a Jeffrey Turbin again, or
he's given us some responsibility again?
Oh, he went back. We'll have to wait till he gets back. But then I might go. You know.
Yeah. Well, if it's all over, it's all over.
Obviously we have to keep watching. We have to keep watching. It's always, there's always a possibility of an upset or some cheating. So we're going to keep a close eye on things, boys. But we're going to call it for Trump, and then keep our fingers crossed in the next 3 or 4 hours that we don't get something mischievous doesn't happen, and that the momentum keeps going in favour of our man.
Well, this is the thing. Like on XYZ, I put up a viewer poll basically asking people if they think the Second American Civil War is going to start. So, like,
What they say?
Whoever wants it, well, it's the answer I've got is the most votes have been for the civil war has already started, basically.
Well, in a sense, it's kind of a quiet, it's like a Cold War version of that.
Yeah, Cold War or
not a hot one.
Period.
It's we're not in the Spanish Civil War yet.
Yeah, I think in future decades, like historians will look at the current time and decide whether and argue, like for hundreds of thousands of words, whether this was the war or whether this was the prelude to the war.
I've got a question for you. Take for granted that Trump does win. How do you project the next month to 6 weeks? He gets over. It's maybe not quite as decisive a win as he had against Hillary, but he's got 20 electoral votes up his sleeve. He wins. How's it going to play out over the next month?
Well, the left could decide either one of two things. They could basically up the ante and try to basically make out that the entire US system is completely illegitimate and try to actually launch a coup.
Do that.
Yeah.
Yep.
The other option that they could just do is to go, okay, we didn't get over the line this one. Let's just keep boiling the frog. Let's just let the demographics do its job. We'll then keep trying to hold up the agenda.
2024,
to stop. We'll keep mass immigration on track, and either 2024, 28. Eventually, if trends continue,
it's theirs. Yeah,
it's theirs. Yeah.
Yep. Fair enough.
That would be the smart move.
You're right.
I think they're past the point. I think this year has shown them to be very impatient. That they look like they can see the home stretch and they're going all out. And certainly, even if the puppeteers may decide that that's a better course, I don't think the radical stooges, the brainwashed, are going to go along with that. They're ready for a riot. There's lots of stuff going around on social media, and there's those Zoom chats that have been released that they're planning on really going to smash things up and going hard. So I even if the puppeteers are might be thinking strategically, I think they'll probably have lost control of the brainwashed masses that they've been indoctrinating all these years. I think they've unleashed a beast that they can't stop.
Yeah,
it's the mistake that they always make, isn't it? They always are patient to a point. They always do so well to a point, and then they just go, "Okay, it's ours. Let's grab it," and they just trigger the response. It happens every single time.
Yep.
Yeah, it's almost human nature as well. If you're holding, it's like people who go on a diet for months and months and months, and then they go, "I'll have one little treat," and then binge. It's like that. That you can only hold off the self-control for so long before your true nature really pulls through. So, I mean, when people have been waiting to install their concentration camps and do their mass murder thing for so long, it's very, very hard to keep that control once you get a taste of it. And they've had a big taste of it this year.
Yeah. What time do the polling stations close in America? Do they allow people to go and vote after work, kind of thing? Are they open till 9 o'clock, for example? Would in California and in places like that?
Yeah, I don't know what time.
Tim's
the knowledge man. Yeah.
All right, where's Tim gone?
Our glorious leader has abandoned us again.
Tim?
We are bereft without him.
Put down your Tubin biography and come back here. He's vanished. Well, I'm going to vanish in a minute if he doesn't come back and vanish me.
The Australian have put up a new headline here saying that Arizona is Joe Biden's last hope. I don't know if they're kind of clutching at straws though. Like it's
that's clutching at straws.
He's got Pennsylvania, Florida, Texas. Like are they just trying to keep the hits up on their website going just a little bit longer?
Yeah. Arizona. Let's have a look. I'll pull that up.
Actually, in California, it's 8 p.m. until 8 p.m.
That's when the closing.
Yeah.
What time is it now? And what time is it now?
No, let me just.
About 7 out of the day. 3 hours.
1 more hour. Yeah. So it's still open. The polls are still open technically for 1 more hour. Well, it's very interesting. Very interesting, gang. Okay, I got here. Arizona looks like Uncle Joe might get that one. Creepy Uncle Joe?
Oh no, it's 5 to 8 in Los Angeles. You've got 5 more minutes in LA. So
Fair enough. 5 more minutes and then it's all closed.
It's all closed, yeah.
Well, 5 more minutes and then I'm going to drop out of this podcast too. So. Well, I don't know where our glorious leader Tim Wilms has gone to, but we miss him. And
we've been going for a while. It's 12 o'clock. My goodness, we've been going for hours.
What time did you guys start broadcasting?
3 hours ago.
I think you probably should have started around now and then gone for 3 hours. That would have been maybe more interesting. You would have gotten more concrete results, and you might have got some speeches and a few things like that. But still, anyway, we can always just watch mainstream news. What's the best mainstream news in Australia, boys? I think Channel 9 news. I've watched a few. Obviously, the ABC I enjoy just to, when there's bad news for the left, because that's rather enjoyable to see them, suffering and pain and, the kind of Schadenfreude in me.
Hamster wheel, they just got
exactly. But then I think Channel 9 news, every time I switch on Channel 9 and I watch it, and they were critical of Daniel Andrews and they would, put tough questions to him sometimes, or they would show, I don't know. That was always the news growing up that I liked the best, Channel 9. It seemed to be an attempt at balanced news. And when I watched it a bit this year, there was an element of it still trying to be balanced. I think it leans slightly left now, I might say, but anything that leans slightly left is like balanced these days. So for mainstream media, anyway.
I remember in my 20s, all the lefties hated Channel 9. So that's how you know.
Yeah, exactly. That's how you know. And they still do, really. So Channel 10 has obviously fallen to the enemy. And with that whole Waleed Ali thing, how the fuck did that happen? How did Channel 10 get stolen? And Channel 7, I think, is also... it's run by... what's the name of the guy? He's like a media baron. He's not Murdoch's stature, but he's a smaller one. Remember who owns Channel 7?
Kerry Stokes.
Kerry Stokes, exactly.
Yeah.
He's a little right wing. Yeah, exactly. So Channel 7 and 9, they're the best channels. All right, boys. Well, look, I'm going to drop out. I don't know where Tim's gone. So say goodbye for me. I'm going to call it for Donald Trump. Congratulations, Donald. It was close, but looks like you've done it. And we'll just keep an eye on things over the next 2 or 3 hours. Make America great again. 2. See ya.
Nice.
Bye.
Richard. Cheers.
See you, mate.
Yeah, this headline on the Australian talking about Arizona does seem to be just a bizarre one. Like I'm looking.
You're back, Tim. Richard's just left.
Hey,
it was actually waiting up for you.
Yeah, you want me to bring up the Australian website? Did you say, Dave?
Yeah, the Australian. They've got this funny story about how Arizona is Joe Biden's last hope. But come on, Texas. Florida,
yeah, look at that map.
Get over it, mate. Like they're just trying to. I reckon they're just trying to draw more hits into their website. I'm reading here. It's like saying with 70% of the vote counted in Arizona, a usually Republican state, Mr. Biden is on 53.7% of the vote compared to Mr. Trump on 45%. The lead is expected to narrow as more in-person votes are counted, but Biden team is hoping he can still hang on to the state. The Wall Street Journal reports that if Mr. Biden loses Ohio, North Carolina, and Florida, he'll be increasingly reliant on Arizona. But again, come on, is it like a consolation prize?
Yeah, he's also ahead in Iowa still, but that doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, that seems like one of the more bizarre stories I've seen tonight. Tim, I was saying over on Twitter, news.com are already slamming supposedly arrogant Australian news coverage of the presidential election. So you know that they're starting to get a little bit cranky.
Apparently, the early results don't mean much. These are still very early results.
All right. Yeah, they weren't saying that back in 2016 when Hillary was ahead, were they?
So as I said, we're now just playing the waiting game of when they've got no other choice but to call it for Trump.
Yeah, why don't we go through the percentage stats of all of the states that we were looking at? So what did North Carolina turn out in the end?
Okay, I'll bring it up here. Look at Fox News. I mean, they still have 133 for Biden, 115 for Trump. In now.
97% of the vote. Yeah.
And so Trump is ahead by close to 400,000 votes.
And 3% and there's only 300,000 votes left to count. So how can they not call that?
Yeah, they could be. They might discover all of these mail-in ballots somewhere. Remember that Babylon? Remember that Babylon B headline which said 800 million Americans projected to vote in the election?
I love it how Babylon B have just basically come out fully on the side of the light. It's been magnificent, really.
Yeah. So 11 million voters, 3% of the vote left in Florida. There's 330,000 people votes to be counted, and Trump's ahead by 400,000, but they can't call it yet.
Yeah.
It's only a lazy 400,000. Sitting around going, how the hell are we going to rig this one, guys?
When somebody says, "Oh, we're still waiting on the absentee and postal votes in Australian politics," we all know that they're just either stalling or lying to themselves that they still might win. Because when has any politician who's ever said that actually come back to win?
Yeah,
that's it.
Yeah. Well, it'll probably 2020 will be the first time because the election rigging is really hotting up now. So there's a first time for everything.
Georgia, there's still only 65% counted, but though Trump is way ahead, 300,000 votes ahead. Iowa, 54% in. Biden's leading by 100,000 votes, but who cares about Iowa at this point?
Michigan.
Yeah, but it's still only 42% counted. So Trump is still ahead, 54%. Maybe Gretchen she's got all the mail-in votes all ready to dump.
Yeah. And what do we say with North Carolina again? Because that was the one where we were
94% counted now. Trump is leading by over 150,000 votes. They haven't called it yet, though.
So how many? So we've got 94% of, and we're looking at what 5? Is that 4.5 million votes in total? 4.5 million votes in total. A bit of let's do a bit of mathematics here, a bit of arithmetic.
Ohio 90% in. Trump's ahead by 400,000 votes, but still too close to call.
So what do you say it was ahead by in North Carolina? We were how many votes?
North Carolina 150,000 ahead by.
And there's about 270,000 votes left to count.
I don't know. Are you calculating this?
Yeah. I'm just having a quick bit of ballpark arithmetic.
Tim, what's Virginia looking like at the moment?
Well, Virginia, Fox News already called it for Biden, but with 58% now counted, Trump's ahead by 6 points, ahead by 150,000 votes.
That's one of the most bizarre things I've ever seen. It's like when like somebody sneaks an extra single in a game of cricket and they don't put it on the scoreboard.
Yeah, I've just got this Fox News alert. It says Fox News projects California's winner. Who's picking up the biggest electoral prize in the nation? I have no idea. It's going to be such a shock to see who wins California. Like you'd have to be like have brain damage to not know who's going to win California.
Yeah. It's why pretty much there's universal support across America for a Cal exit, isn't there? It's a win-win for everybody.
They were going to do it 4 years ago after Trump won. This is hey, what about all those celebrities that were saying they were going to leave? Because a few of them are saying they're going to leave again.
They're going to leave again, on vacation and come back.
No, nobody's going to Mexico.
Yeah, I think it was Bruce Springsteen who said he was going to move to Australia.
He's not coming to Victoria though, is he? Yeah.
Barbara Streisand in 2016 said she was going to be moving to Australia.
What about Tom Hanks?
Oh, he's in Australia at the moment. He got an exemption. Yeah, he got an exemption by that chief health officer, Dr. Jeanette Young.
Oh yes. The train-looking one.
Barbara Streisand, she posted a photo of herself wearing a mask saying, "See if a mask can fit over my nose, then you can all wear a mask."
Did she have to have it like especially modified? That's great.
Yeah, maybe she got it from the kosher kosher supermarket. They have special kosher masks.
You better hope so.
Yeah, because they obviously need one to fit the noses.
Yes. That's what I mean. Like, yeah, they get them custom made.
Mm. And we hope to be rejoined. We had earlier on briefly Senator Slayer and Jared Searby, but they all had tech issues.
I saw was Jared arrested again yesterday?
3 times.
2 times.
3.
3 times.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've had some eyewitness accounts saying that the police basically just cordoned everybody off, wouldn't let everybody leave, and then just picked them all off one by one and arrested everybody.
Fox News has updated their count here. So Biden is, they've confirmed him for 207 electoral votes, Donald Trump only 148.
Yeah.
But you look at the states that are remaining, Trump's ahead in all of them except for Arizona, New Mexico, Nevada. They haven't even started counting yet.
No, they haven't started counting in California either. They've only just closed the polling booths in California.
Yeah. It's bizarre that Trump can be ahead, but they're still calling it for the other guy. It's a really interesting thing. I've still got strong memories of the 2000 election.
They've called Florida. They've finally called Florida now.
They called Florida for
yeah, because that's
it's bright red now.
Yeah, bright red now.
Good. I was at university at the time of the 2000 election, so I remember a lot of analysis of it. And I think some of the media is probably has been spooked by the 2000 election because they were heavily criticized for calling the election for George W. Bush early. And it's the left have squealed about that for years and years, saying that like that calling of the election early actually tipped the favor in their balance, in George W. Bush's balance. So there might be, like I know it's 20 years later, but I think that sort of trauma still lingers with them. That's a guess, basically.
I've noticed on because I was checking Twitter and I took a break again, and that's the racial hatred against white people has already began for the result.
Naturally,
including Latinos as well, because they are now white.
Oh yeah, the Hugh White as well. Hugh White.
Just a spot of corona there. Yeah, and we'll take it. Yep. Blame it all on us. I love the idea of white people voting for somebody who at least nominally says that he's on the side of white people. What an amazing concept! What an amazing political platform. I'm actually on your side, and I'll actually put in policies which help you. Who would have thought that works?
It'll be interesting to see the post-election analysis of the different demographic votes, and if Candace Owens' black set was a success.
Well, they're walking away.
Yeah.
There's also in terms of the ghetto black vote. There's the conspiracy theorist young Pharaoh. I don't know if you've heard of that blogger who's been telling basically every black person to not vote for Freemasons and not to vote for the KKK and not to vote for the Democratic Party and blah 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 blah. He's been quite influential. Some of his blogs have been quite amusing to watch.
ABC 7:30 this week with their special US election coverage. It's been the worst bias I've ever seen. They've all projected that Trump losing the Republican Party would have to have a soul-searching operation. And they of course interview the rhinos and never Trumpers in the Republican Party.
Yes. I was listening to ABC Radio this morning, and it was quite incredible how they had it all framed. Like they just made sure that like their first caller after the AM program talked about like what a racist Donald Trump was and how he'll probably try to cause violence when he loses the election, and he has the incentive because he's probably him and his family are probably going to be indicted on multiple charges. And then
such projection, you know.
Yeah, exactly. And then they spoke to a guy who I can't remember the exact foundation that he was from, but they described this guy, like this expert, as being from a slightly centrist organization, and this guy was basically saying the same thing. He thought that Donald Trump would probably try to contest the election and encourage all his followers to cause violence, and he blamed all the violence on his followers. That's happened this year, and he went so far as to suggest, and he's saying this all in a very mild, measured voice, that Donald Trump, if he loses the election, because there's 2 months until the changeover, would try to start a war, would try to start an international war to prevent a changeover of presidents. And he says this all reasonably, and the host goes, "Oh well, thank you very much for coming on." And it was one of the most. It's just the usual sort of programming, the usual sort of narrative framing.
Yeah, accuse your enemies of everything that you were going to do yourself.
There was a lot of
that's how we know what the Democrats are planning.
What's it going to do? Because they're using Donald. Yeah,
we know they're planning.
Yeah.
There was a lot of speculation that if Biden won, that China would try to take Taiwan during the lame duck period between early November election day and inauguration day, January 20th.
It wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah,
and also that so-called tape, was it 16 with Hunter Biden might come out as well as a bit of a blackmail as well.
Yeah, they were definitely they're definitely playing games. It's how was it on this one?
Fox News, they've got to call North Carolina and Georgia next. Now, it's interesting, the states which have Republican governors, which are swing states, Ohio and Florida, they have close to 100% of their votes in, but the ones controlled by Democrats, Pennsylvania, only 46% in, Michigan, only 43% in.
Intriguing. Are you suggesting that they're deliberately slowing down the counting of voting?
Or so they've done so much to encourage mail-in voting?
Yeah. That's quite intriguing, isn't it? It's also been pointed out that a lot of the violence that has been sparked, a lot of the violence and terrorism, basically, that has been committed from Black Lives Matter, it's in these key swing states. It's been in Wisconsin. It's been in Pennsylvania. It is a little bit intriguing.
Well, I mean, so I was just saying that the whole Black Lives Matter started off by pallets of bricks just mysteriously turning up on, in public spaces where normally the democratic, overly bureaucratic councils would have come down on people dumping a pile of bricks against restrictions, council regulations straight away. But all of a sudden, they're just mysteriously here now.
It's all suspicious.
And then the Antifa people and Black Lives Matter people walking past these covered up bricks, suddenly knowing that the bricks underneath there. Oh, what's under here? Oh, here are the bricks. What a surprise!
Yeah. Again, it's all just a little bit too convenient. The suggestion has been, because there's been a great video that's come out by Jack Pissy. I'm actually joining two videos together. Just staying on this topic, Red Elephants has Vince James has been pointing this out, that this violence has been in these key swing states, and he's done a lot of reporting on just that thing, like these pallets that just mysteriously turned up. What's going on isn't organic. Jack Pissy put out a really great video on Antifa. On their history, but basically how they're basically a continuation of Marxist violence that's been going on for 200 years, or Marxist and left-wing violence that's been going on for 200 years. A really intriguing one was because you know how like my lookalike Simon Burgess has been trying to make the connection between ISIS and these so-called right-wing extremists, and I've seen memes on Facebook where like they have the Trump motorcades of Trump fans like all in their SUVs with the American flags, and then they have the ISIS. They have the ISIS thing. It actually turns out that there were hundreds of American anarchists went to a northern border region of Syria to try to start up a stateless region in that area, and so they basically got military training and military experience fighting essentially on the same side as ISIS in Syria. That's Antifa are actually ISIS. That's the actual parallel you can make.
Wow. Yeah.
Naturally, this video has been banned off Twitter and YouTube, so find it on BitChute. It's called Antifa Rise of the Black Flag.
So Trump is actually, he's coming back in Iowa now. If I just go back to the Fox News map here. So this is with 67% of the vote counted. Now, Trump is only trailing by around 30,000 votes. Biden 50.6, Trump 47.7. It's starting to look like now, with there being no move in the vote in Michigan and Pennsylvania, that this is what it's looking like, that none of the networks will call it tonight, and so it'll give Biden cover to not concede. Trump, of course, will claim victory, but this seems to be, it's looking like this is sort of the planned limbo period.
Yeah. That Iowa tightening as well, that's looking very, very similar to what we had at the start of this show of North Carolina. We had similar results. We were looking at North Carolina, and I was getting all depressed, thinking that North Carolina was going to fall to Biden. So we could possibly see Iowa go Trump after all.
Yeah. I like the way that you framed that, Tim. It's like a pre-planned limbo period. Like even if Donald Trump is absolutely blitzing it, they're going to drag out the announcing as long as they can. They want that period of chaos, even if it's for a couple of evenings.
Because I was just mentioning that that's the sort of period for China and Xi Jinping to exploit that limbo period. Because we have to remember that back in 2000, during the 1 month limbo period, America was the only global superpower. It was pre 9/11. And so the world could afford to have this undecided, because there was not really too much difference between Al Gore and George W. Bush.
Well, none in the end. Yeah, none in the end.
Yeah, that's it. On China, like just today, China have basically sort of officially but unofficially put further sanctions on Australian products. They're putting sanctions on wheat, on lobsters, something else as well. And they're basically just stepping it up. And so they were asked for a response regarding these sanctions, because they called the heads of specific industries into their embassy to chat to them. And then their response was, there may be disruptions due to decisions by the heads of Australian industry. So they're playing games, and they're sort of wanting to step up the sanctions without making it look like they're stepping up the sanctions. So China is just dialing. They're just heating the pot just a little bit more as well.
Okay, this is how my map looks at the moment. We have Wisconsin. I'm calling that for Trump. Same as North Carolina and Georgia, which just leave Pennsylvania, Michigan, Iowa, and Arizona as toss-ups. You can see there Trump on 261, Democrats on 224. So it's actually going to be important now, Iowa and Arizona, if depending how that go, because say if Trump wins Iowa and Arizona, he wins. Okay. But if he doesn't, say he loses Arizona, he falls just short 267, and you have Michigan and Pennsylvania, no result in.
Right, okay.
So Trump's nearly there, but they won't let him declare victory, even though he'll be ahead in Pennsylvania and Michigan.
Yeah, so that's so if he wins those two states, what did you say? Iowa and Arizona, the Democrat plan to hold up the result of the election just gets scuppered anyway.
Yeah.
But if they can win those two states.
Oh, sorry. I forgot to turn New Mexico blue.
Okay.
But it doesn't matter. So
yeah. So
yeah.
What we're looking at is their delaying tactics. If they can win those two last states, then they can hold up Pennsylvania and Michigan for months.
Yeah.
Although on that graphic you got there, you've got him with 273.
Yeah, which is enough.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if Arizona goes blue, then Trump falls short. If Iowa goes blue, then it's almost Trump's ahead by 10 electoral votes. If Michigan and Pennsylvania, they don't allow them to be declared tonight.
Right. So what we're looking at is their plans, basically.
Yeah. So now Trump actually has to win. Yeah.
They would have.
So yeah, if he still wins Iowa and Arizona, he wins, and it doesn't matter about Michigan. But if he loses one of them, doesn't matter whether it's Iowa or Arizona, he's behind.
Tim, what about Virginia though? Because that's been one of the bizarre things as well. Like Trump is ahead in the vote, but they're still calling it the other way.
Yep. So is it 61%? Yeah, Trump is still ahead by 75,000 votes.
So, are they trying to mess with us here? That's a bizarre thing going on.
It's an incredibly slow count in Pennsylvania and Michigan.
Yeah.
Although it is tightening up in Wisconsin now with 60% of the vote counted.
Yeah.
If I factor that in, because I say Wisconsin is undecided, Trump's still short, but say if so this is if Iowa and Arizona stay as they are, 246 draw. If Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania are too close to call, that's if the Democrats remain in the lead in Arizona and Iowa. But if Trump wins both of those, he's still short with all of these three states up in the air.
Well, just turn Virginia red for a moment, though, Tim. What happens then?
He wins.
And he wins.
Yeah,
but that's if we turn those blue, he's still behind, but he's in the lead.
Yeah.
But remember, we're calling it much better than the main networks.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, it's. I don't know what they're playing in Virginia. Again, I think there's your answer.
I've got a key race alert for you all here, if I may use a CNN term. Laura Loomer has lost her race in the U.S. The Florida 21st congressional district, the Democrat incumbent Lois Frankel easily won, beating her by 80,000 votes.
Well, it's a clear case of racism, I think.
I think Frankel is Jewish as well.
Oh, yes, the anti-J chocolate conspiracy, mate.
Can't you let me just have one?
I remember that Laura Loomer tried to claim that Lois Frankel was soft on anti-Semitism because the county reinstated a high school principal who denied the Holocaust. So Laura Loomer said that Frankel's silence, she was soft on anti-Semitism, and she would have made sure that teacher was still fired.
I mentioned before, Tim, my alternative possible titles for tonight's stream.
Why? Because of Florida's 21st district.
America votes, Belgium decides.
We've got a Jared back again.
How are you, boys? Just thought we'd jump back in and see how you're going. Dave, how are you, mate?
Yeah, really good, Jared. I saw you on the news last night.
Oh, no. That's no good.
You've been a naughty boy.
Mate, I was a good boy. They were the naughty boys.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for Jimmy here, I would have been in trouble, I think. He saved me.
Oh, really?
Yeah. You'll see him in the footage next to me, buddy, trying to rip me out of the pack. Him and Versace Cowboy. If it wasn't for them, I would have been a lot worse off, I think.
Yeah, right. I spoke to an eyewitness who was saying that basically the police had everybody cordoned off and they wouldn't let people leave, and then they were just trying to pick everybody off one by one.
Yeah, it was actually, so when they started it.
Have we lost?
They keep cutting out. I'll give another update. So Fox News is now called Arizona for Joe Biden, even though 73% of the vote is counted. I just saw Mark Levin post, "Congratulations, Cindy McCain. You've cost us Arizona," because remember, that's McCain country. John McCain was the senator there for 31 years up until his death. And so, yeah, that's flipped blue. But Trump is now ahead in Iowa. So if we go down, so Trump is now ahead by 6,000 votes with 74% counted. Still so slow, the count in Michigan. And where's Pennsylvania? Let's have a look at that. 50% in now. But Trump is still ahead. Texas, his lead is being maintained. Wisconsin, Trump is now a bit further ahead.
Mm-hmm. Good.
Yeah, but Fox News, they've called Arizona with 73% of the vote in, but still won't call Ohio or North Carolina.
Just looking at some comments here on Twitter, like they're pointing out the same stuff that we're pointing out. The Associated Press map hasn't called any of the states that have gone red, so Trump looks like he's losing badly, even as they have called California and WA. What's that? WA for Biden. And they haven't started counting votes. So, yeah, like they seem to be just playing a few funny games just yet.
And which was the case in 2016.
Yeah. Oh, here we go.
We can't hear you.
Mute.
ASIO keep cutting us out. I'm going to have to bloody jump off. We'll try one more time.
Well, you can see my head. I'm trying to look like Simon Burgess. I'm actually,
you got the bald comment.
Yeah, that's it. Jimmy, you were saying something just when you cut out.
Yeah, so as I was saying, once they had that square line formed around all of the protests, they tried to break our line. The first effort didn't go so good for them. We all managed to push them back, but there wasn't enough men on the front line with us. If we had the numbers, it would have been unbreakable. But they ended up sectioning us off into 3 groups.
Yep.
Little square boxes, all cramped up, kept everyone there, you know, high tension. And then that's when they just, by that time, I'd already been taken away. But I did get to the 3 boxes. So after that, it started splitting the 3 groups into 5. And then a big commotion happened up the front, apparently.
Losing me again.
Yeah, just basically to sort of maybe finish his sentence then. It sounds, from what I've heard from another eyewitness and from what they're sort of saying, the police, they deliberately split up all the different groups, like they split up the group into multiple groups. It's kind of a psychological warfare. It sort of hides your numbers and you think you're outnumbered when you outnumber them. And then because like they're always so close to you and they won't let people leave, that causes friction. That then gives them an excuse to jump in and say, oh, well, they were assaulting us, they were being violent, they were being threatening. And from there, they arrested 400 people. I've never heard of 400 people being arrested in a protest in Australia. Like maybe we had those kinds of numbers during the X11 protests back in the early noughties.
Sorry, boys.
That's all right. Please continue.
So yeah, the processing unit that everyone was taken through before they were either let go, taken back to the station or the hospital, you know, they had tables set out on the corner of Parliament where each desk had officers writing out fines. Like everyone that was there was given a fine. We're there. There's no social distancing. You know, they had us in boxes like pack animals.
Yep.
It's, yeah, like I tried to get out for ages. Everyone tried to get out, you know. We weren't there causing a ruckus until the police started getting aggressive towards the women. You know, in my eyes, that's, if any man lays a hand on a woman, it's a no-go.
Yep. Agreed.
You know, we were there to simply, you know, protest. We were within our rights. And the police were just absolute pigs, man, to everyone involved. Like, there was no need for it. It was disgusting.
So you're saying they had a processing station set up on the side of Parliament?
Yes.
Like it was all pre-planned, basically.
Oh, very much so. Very much. It was very well coordinated. And that's what I mean. We lacked the numbers. That's why it didn't work. Like, there's no way they would have been able to stop anything that was going on if we had, you know, a bit more numbers.
Mm-hmm.
Three or 4 of us were holding them off, you know?
Yeah, right. Okay, wow. Okay. Just the sheer numbers of arrests is I haven't heard of that. Like 400 arrests made. I haven't heard of that number.
Yeah.
In Australian
protests.
It was ridiculous.
So
there might have been something similar in the S11 protests in the early 2000s, but that 400 just seems out of proportion to anything I've heard of before.
Yeah, well, what they were doing at the start, once they had the big square line formed of police, is they'd form the V line behind that line, duck in, grab, you know, what you consider an easy target, pinch them out of the crowd, and it's like, why do it? They're not doing anything wrong. They're here to protest in peace.
Yes.
You know, it opened my eyes to how disgusting Vic Pol can be.
Yeah. Well, do you know who else operates that way? That's the same tactics that Antifa actually use. Like they will, somebody will come from behind, go up through the lines, attack somebody, then they'll fall back and hide behind the front line of people. It's that kind of tactic. You hear the Victoria Police using that tactic. It kind of tells us. Hang on, I think you may have disappeared, but it's one of those sort of like little tells that says, you know, like they're basically all on the same side. Like Antifa are essentially the paramilitary wing of left-wing governments.
Yeah, they all get the same training, and it is training. It's not like they've had a meeting on the morning and said this is how we're going to operate. This is the sort of shit you got to practice.
Yes,
you got to train. Yes. You know, this sort of thing you got to practice in advance many times over and get coordinated and get good at it before you can actually go out and do it in the real world. So
yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
That's it. Jimmy, I was just saying that sounds like Antifa tactics. That's the sort of stuff that Antifa do. Somebody comes from the line, attacks a patriot, and then falls back and is protected by the line, so that you can't.
Very much so.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly that. And as I said, they were peaceful protesters. They were anywhere from, it was, they weren't picking male, female, age. I saw an elderly lady get plucked out by a V-line, and there's no need for it. There was actually a community of deaf people there, and even the police had no regard for them. So they're not going to know what's going on behind them when they're seated. When the police come rushing in, they had to be warned to hop out of the way. Otherwise, the police would have trampled them. There's no need for it.
Yeah, it's a whole new level of just despotism here. I'm not surprised, because we've sort of been looking at the signs for a while of where Dictator Dan is going. But it's just it's amazing to see that level of brutality, of coordination, of repression.
Yeah, and look, the amount of coordination they had was impeccable, but we made a statement that day that we're not putting up with this crap. We're making a stand, and we just need more numbers to do it. If we can, it doesn't have to be violent. It's just about having those numbers behind you so that we can actually take a push back. Yeah.
You get the feeling that Dan is going to keep the outdoor gathering numbers limited for as long as he can to prevent protests against him. It's basically now hate speech to disagree with his successful strategy. That's basically what he's claiming now, that the strategy worked. If I listened to other people, we wouldn't be in this position. And so you're basically committing, it's a form of denialism, your protests now.
Well, if he was so hard on social distancing, why were Vic Pol able to act like they were? They weren't practicing social distancing.
But they had masks and gloves on as well, so they're immune from the virus.
Sarcasm made it wrong.
I like how his picture is frozen in that contemplative look there at the end of that comment.
He's about to roll his eyes. Skill protectors.
Yeah.
I think it's quite appropriate.
It gets me so angry just thinking about it. I just think what these fucking police deserve and what they actually will end up getting in the end. It's they deserve so much bad. Really, this is why I don't believe in any sort of Eastern religions, because karma is just, there is no fucking karma. There is just power. There is just power. People who get away with it and people who don't. And either you use power for good or you use power for evil. But either way, power is power. And at the moment, Vic Pol have got power, and they're drunk on it. They're drunk on it.
The way I see politics. Don't expect your enemies to behave any other way than what you've seen them behave already. We know big tech are going to censor us. We know Dictator Dan is going to be a dictator.
We know the police are going to be brutal. Yeah,
absolutely, because they know who their bosses are. They know who writes their checks. So expect it.
Yeah, I expect it, but it riles me up, man. Riles me up so no end.
Absolutely, and it should. I guess I'm angry but not surprised.
It's angry to listen to, and Dan today calling the protesters shameful. He's going to call anyone who protests against him now shameful.
Yeah, anybody who gets the shit kicked out of them by the police is shameful. Any old grandma who gets dragged out and thrown to the floor is shameful. Any pregnant woman who gets arrested in her home is shameful. It's You know, and the fact that the police are just such cowards and picking on the easy targets first, you know, and going for the pregnant women and going for the, you know, the old ladies first because they can, you know, it's the cowardice of it. It's just a sickening cowardice of mob violence in organized form. And, you know, every single one of those officers is just a shameful piece of filth. Doesn't deserve to call themselves men. They've got absolutely nothing morally going for them whatsoever to be taking a paycheck to do sort of shit like this. You know, they're the filth of the earth is what they are.
Also, breaking news, Arizona's gone to Biden. That's what Fox
we just covered that before. Right. And if you look at the Fox News map, they've pretty much called all the states where Biden is ahead, with the exception of Nevada and Minnesota, for Biden. So, like, people who see it on TV, the current totals will say, "Oh, Biden's ahead, 223 to Trump, 148." But look, all the states they haven't called, including North Carolina, 94% in, Ohio, 94% in, Texas, we have 77% in. They haven't called it yet.
They're playing games.
Yeah. And I put up that tweet from Bieber anti-bullying, ballot delays in key battleground states. Lol.
And what was that? Did he retweet George Soros?
Soros Jr. We won't know tonight, but so far no surprises unless you're expecting to know the result tonight. Alexander Soros.
Yeah. Okay. So things are going ahead as planned. They're delaying the polls in key battleground states. They're not calling. They've got
a tactic. They've got a tactic, and our earlier celebrations are probably a bit premature because there's something going on that we don't know about yet.
Well, I guess our celebrations were justified, you know, assuming all things are played fair. But like what we were also saying at the time was like we were like, well, will Trump be able to win so decisively that the left can't, that the Democrats can't play their games? But what we're seeing now is that the games are coming.
They've already started. They're in full swing.
Started. Yeah.
And now they're going to bleat on that this is the popular vote at the moment. Biden 49.9%, Trump 48.5%. They've only counted 50% in California, 50% in Oregon, 58% in Washington. Imagine if Biden gets over 50% of the popular vote, because Hillary only got 48% last time. Democrats will have in their platform now get rid of the Electoral College.
Yeah, they've been pushing
that for they'll really go full swing on it if that happens.
Because they've lost twice in a row because of the Electoral College.
Yeah, they don't like that thing.
Yeah, and in 2000, Gore won the popular vote by 1%. Though Bush won the Electoral College.
Yes, they bleated then too. Yeah.
This is another Fox News alert that I've got. Biden adds another Western state win to his plate. Fox News projects. So they are implying through that news alert Biden's a real winner.
So whose side of Fox on? You know, like,
well, this is
for years.
It's the Fox straight news people there tonight, like Brett Barr and Chris Wallace.
It's not Tucker, put it that way.
Chris Wallace, there you go, mate. Chris Wallace.
Well, it's like Murdoch is part of the agenda and has been for years anyway. He's the controlled opposition news outlet, isn't he? So, like Sky News, we have here in Australia, we have Rowan Dean and Alan Jones, but that's really about it. It's like a token thing that we get, and we seem to forget that the rest of Sky and the rest of the corporation really isn't, defending our liberties at all. They're just giving a place for people who are concerned about left-wing extremism to feel safe.
That's it. It's the little outlet, the pressure outlet.
Pressure outlet. So yeah.
And they're saying now that Biden's won Arizona. Well, the networks have said that the momentum's back in Biden's favor. Yeah, because Piers Morgan has just tweeted, "My verdict: Biden could win, Trump could win. It could be a tie. This won't be decided for a few days."
They're dragging it out.
Yeah.
Dragging it out.
Okay.
So it's definitely
yeah.
They if Trump was going, their strategy if they couldn't stop Trump winning the vote, then just drag it out and delegitimize it.
Yeah. So this is basically what I was predicting on XYZ. They drag out the result as long as they can. They create the chaos. They incite their terrorists in Antifa and Black Lives Matter to cause mayhem. They will try to scale that wall around the White House too. They'll try to take that. They will just go absolutely nuts, and anything's possible from it. Yeah, it's civil. This could be how they plan to trigger their civil war. Yeah, it's
apparently
it's kind of like what I was saying with it's fun. It's a little bit crazy to see your predictions come true about Dictator Dan, like arresting 400 people. It's a little bit crazy just to see this in real time. Because, the way things were going by all, like if everything was fair, they could almost be calling Trump pretty soon. But we're seeing the games being played in real life, in real time.
And as I said, in 2016, they held off for as long as they could in calling Pennsylvania and Michigan for Trump, which is where the states where there's a vote delay, funnily enough. So the two states that gave Trump the presidency, there's some difficulty in continuing to count the votes.
Extended smoko.
And then get the cigarette. Oops.
Yeah.
Well, what if Antifa burned down the voting centers in Michigan and Pennsylvania
before they'd finished?
Many good ideas, Tim.
Yeah. I'm sure they've already had that idea, and we'll be looking for ways to follow it through.
So this is how things stand according to Fox at the moment. Iowa, they've counted 84% now, and Trump is clearly in the lead. Stuck on 78% in Texas, but Trump's expanded his lead. So in my own map, I am giving Iowa to Trump, which leaves there's only Michigan and Pennsylvania, which if Trump wins either of those at this stage, he has won the presidency.
No, I'm getting nervous again, Tim. I'm getting nervous again. I had my pessimism at the beginning.
He's ahead in both states. He's ahead in both states.
Yeah, he's ahead now. I don't know. It's just so stressful.
I've got to get back to my other work. So I'll just like when Richard left, he was boisterous. It's all for Trump. So like if I can sort of just, this is how I would frame it. This is how I was framing it beforehand. Like I was expecting the Democrats to drag this out as long as possible. It's as I was sort of saying earlier, like, do they want to sort of hold back just short of triggering a civil war, or will they just, as they always do, just push things over the edge? We know they're planning a coup. We know they want to play games, so that's what they're doing. So if they want to start something, then bring it. If Donald Trump loses, there's no more Big Daddy to look after Americans, real Americans, and they'll, if they want to take their country back, they're going to have to take matters into their own hands. So either way, you can see it as a win-win.
Trump is still ahead in Virginia by 50,000 votes with 64% in.
Yeah, and they're just putting it blue on the map. It's bizarre,
so say if I flip Virginia red here, then he's won,
As I
even
said
if there is no
before, yeah.
result in Michigan
Yeah.
and Pennsylvania.
Yeah, they're messing with it. It's what we're seeing real-time election meddling.
Yeah. Have you seen season 5 of House of Cards when Kevin Spacey's Frank Underwood knows he's going to lose? He shuts down the voting and vote counting in Kentucky and Ohio, so they can't be certified.
Yeah.
they're always wargaming, aren't they? They're always wargaming. Okay, gentlemen, I've got to get out of here. My suggestion is keep doing the push-ups.
Yeah.
Cheers all, and
take care.
Everybody in the chat.
Nice, mate.
See you, mate.
Thanks, Pete.
See ya.
See you, Tim.
It's clear that they're not going to let a clear result be declared tonight, or not for a while. So we might wrap it up at, say, 4 p.m. Melbourne time. And if anything else happens, there's always the option to go live again later on today.
Yeah, I'm at a Trump victory celebration dinner later on today. Or Trump commiseration dinner, whichever way it goes. I'm off. I'm going to be enjoying the suspense tonight in a pub with a meal and a few Patriots, which will be good.
Yeah, we're allowed back at the pubs now in Melbourne, though we still have the 25-kilometre limit and still separated from regional Victorians. The Ring of Steel and
how many people are allowed in your pubs?
So what is that? 50 outside, 20 inside.
Okay.
I think they're also we post for retail as well for the 50 as well. Because I actually went to a few of the local malls and all that sort of stuff. At 50, you gotta line up, and basically it's like you gotta scan this and they're gonna write your name down, all that sort of stuff. No way I'm going online, dude.
Yeah, we had similar things in WA when our lockdown was in full swing over here. That like they had a security guard basically counting people into Coles and Woolies, and then there was the stupid stickers on the floor where everyone had to queue up with 10 feet in between you, and the queues were going out the door and around the building and stuff, to waiting to get into Woolworths and Coles just to get your groceries. We had that for a while. So yeah, that's a sort of a universal thing. At least you haven't had the British experience yet. You've not had the. You can go into the shops, but you can only buy food, but you can't buy birthday cards. And you can't buy clothes.
Yeah, because the government should always decide what's essential and what's not essential.
Yeah, exactly. Buying clothes is not essential coming up to winter in Britain.
No, and neither is buying a kettle.
No. Having hot water is definitely a big no-no. It'll spread coronavirus if you ever turn a kettle on.
Oh, you may, starve or get cold, but that's a small price to pay for stopping the spread of coronavirus, hopefully.
Yeah, especially amongst the old people who never die of cold in the UK.
And we must separate all the elderly from any other person for their own safety, because it's not like old people die from loneliness.
No, never. They never die from loneliness, old people. They're perfectly resilient, and contact with people only makes them decline faster.
Yeah, as Dan Andrews says, it's not smart, it's not safe, it's selfish, stupid, and shameful.
Absolutely, yeah. Wanting to see your dying grandmother is selfish and stupid, and it's a harm to her that she definitely detrimental to grandma to die with people around her.
You're going to be making the police stomp on your head, which wouldn't be necessary if you just obeyed.
Yeah, absolutely. We all just need to obey, and then everything will get better.
Mm.
All right. So, are we about to wrap it up?
Yeah.
For the moment?
Pete, have you got any closing remarks?
Could I say one quick thing? I reckon whatever happens is going to be some sort of accelerationism. I mean, with Trump, is going to be the rights. With the Black Lives Matter, even though Washington's already bolted everything in, I think with if Joe Biden was to unexpectedly win, people will unfortunately, and I hate to say it, will have to take matters in their own hands and have to stockpile on your AR-15s as well.
Well, they already have. The gun sales are already through the roof.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind my own gun myself at the moment. Sort of...
Yeah, but the results have definitely stalled now. So if we keep going, we're just going to be stalling,
waiting forever. Yeah, waiting forever. Yeah.
Oh, they've just called another state for Trump. Which one did they call? Oh, Texas. They called Texas for Trump now. Fox News. Finally.
Okay. And so what have they got the tally at the moment? 223 to 200 barrier.
Yeah, Trump's. They won't call Montana yet though. 52% in. Trump only ahead by 3 percentage points.
It's only worth three electoral votes anyway, isn't it? Is that what I'm
it doesn't look like Joe Jorgensen, the Libertarian Party candidate's done well.
Has he not won a single thing?
She.
She. It's all the same. The Libertarian. They can be what you want when you're a Libertarian.
All right, thanks for everyone for watching our stream of the count so far, and we don't have a result now, but that's because of shenanigans, not because there isn't a clear winner in our opinion. Thank you, Stephen, for joining me throughout the stream. Thank you, Pete. Thank you, David, and thank you, Richard.
Thanks for having me.
Nice, mate.
Yeah. See what tomorrow brings, mate.
Yeah.